Alright, I guess we are live. I'm sorry for the very long quiet time in between. I had my phone load in the background. I couldn't tell if I were actually live or not. This app's been acting kind of weird lately. That's okay. Anyways, hello. Welcome. Top of the morning to you. 3:49 a.m. in November the 7th. Sunday? Yep, Sunday, November the 7th. Welcome. Top of the morning indeed. Let's get to the hot topics right quick. Everything's going green. Just to let you guys know, everything's going green. Okay, Doge's at 26. Elon's at 18. Shiba's at 58. UTC's at 618. Comp is at 361. IOTAX is at 10.7. Ethereum's at 4,586. XLM is at 359. Solana 251.92. XYO is at 63. Mana is $2.84. Crow 33.9. Alright. Here we go. Let's dip up into some interesting stuff. Majority of the stuff I haven't seen. Some of it I've just glimpsed through. Like I said, I'm still on timeout on this main channel here, apparently. So I have to just save to watch later. I can't actually save to a playlist for some reason. So stand by. We'll see what in the world we're about to dip up into. For sure. Let's see. A lot of interesting stuff to check out. Let's see what this says here.
Pills always starts with biology to anticipate their ever-changing nutritional needs. For differences you can see, feel, and trust.
This could be too loud for y'all.
So you're always a step ahead.
Okay. I'll tell you, see if we're bright enough too.
Be good, son. If you can't be good, be careful.
From acclaimed director Kenneth Branagh, when change is everywhere,
Why could I leave Belfast? This is
family is everything.
I want my family with me. I want you.
Belfast, rated PG-13.
Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
This is
Think about
called...
it. Think about it.
Well, you can see the title here. Okay.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Gold Black.
Let me speed it up a little bit.
To Africa. Hey, family, check this out here. This is something very important that I want to just try to bring an awareness and attention to you because of the fact that Mark Zuckerberg, he has come up with this idea that he wants to change Facebook name to Metaverse. So listen to this, family. This is the explanation of what this whole metaverse is. The metaverse is a set of virtual spaces where you can create and explore with other people who aren't in the same physical space as you. You'll be able to hang out with friends, workplace, learn, shop, create, and more. It's not necessarily about spending more time online. It's about making the time you do spend online more meaningful. Now, metaverse, you gotta look at the name meta, and you will find that it actually means to transcend. Okay, what he wants to do is to be able to have a platform that can transcend you into a virtual world out of your reality, so that you can get caught in what is not real, which will have control of your emotions. It will have dictate your behaviors outside of your normal realm, so that you can exclude everybody around you and yet get caught up in the mix. Check this video out. It's going to give you an indication of where we're headed today in this whole thing of this metaverse or this so-called virtual reality.
In Striking Vipers, we follow Danny and Carl, two friends who have grown apart significantly. Danny is married to Theo and has a family in the suburbs, while Carl is living a more youthful lifestyle as he is a bachelor in the city. Carl gets Danny the immersive version of Striking Vipers X, a virtual reality experience that emulates physical sensations, made by 𝕃.𝔹.𝕊, the same video game company from the episode Playtest. Striking Vipers X is the newest addition in the series they used to play in their 20s. During their first fight in Striking Vipers X, Danny and Carl kiss using their avatars. After some awkwardness, the two routinely meet up in the game to make sweet, passionate virtual love to each other. Danny and Theo seem to be in a state of limbo. Theo wants to feel attractive and desired, but her husband and lifestyle are not giving her that opportunity, something that's further shown to us by her having a stain on her shirt when Carl arrives at the party, and she feels a little insecure about her body after having a kid. And Danny doesn't work on his body after his knee gave out. They're not living, they're existing. The life of clubbing and gaming all night is not just a distant memory, it's becoming a fantasy. Carl is the only one out of the three in real life to be hanging on to some of that youth, as he's driving a rad vintage car, living in a sweet apartment by himself, and dating younger women. The moment Danny sees that Carl's gift is Striking Vipers, he gets excited and says it takes him back. His face lights up and he takes off the glasses, making him appear more youthful. In fact, Danny has to remove his glasses every time he puts on the VR headpiece. Danny hasn't been hitting the gym because of his knee, but in the game he is extremely muscular and his knee is no longer an issue, making him feel more alive. A large aspect of Danny and Carl's relationship in Striking Vipers X is heavily reliant on nostalgia, as they both have a sentimental yearning to return to a vibrant time period of fun and carelessness that was centered around their connection through Striking Vipers. In the game, they play as Lance and Roxette, the same characters they played as in their 20s. They also fight on the same map, Temple. They get taken back to their youth, a time where passion was much greater than it is now. That's why they interact in these incredibly hypersexualized characters that are meant to represent the over-romanticized view of what it was like to be young. It was as gay as it was cheating. It wasn't technically cheating in the traditional sense of the word. In fact, that's another debate this episode wanted to bring up. As executive producer of Black Mirror, Annabelle Jones asked, when does porn become so sophisticated that it's actually cheating and not just distraction? Danny and Carl's relationship is not physical at all. It was in their heads. This episode was meant to make us think harder about sexuality and how it's not limited by your body or gender. There is more sexual fluidity in the virtual world, making it easier to explore your desires. Later in the episode, Danny breaks things off with Carl and packs up Striking Vipers. Danny and Carl only experience euphoria in the game and are unable to find it in real life because the idea of something or someone always makes it better than reality. And for that reason, Danny and Carl's relationship in the game has the same kind of foundation of Theo's fantasy, involving her getting picked up by handsome strangers at the bar. It's more roleplay. Carl became a woman in the game to try on a different body, a more immersive version of what a lot of male gamers do nowadays. Danny and Carl never have physical sex and feel nothing when they kiss in real life. In the real world, they can still identify as straight. It's just that their sexual experience is no longer strictly defined, and they're confused about these new experiences, as they are able to explore new erotic scenarios in the virtual world that reality will never offer them. Sexuality is evolving with the advancement of this kind of technology.
What do you think? Now, I'm gonna try to break this down further for you all. This type of thing is coming to play. What happened in this so-called short film? Two brothers who play videos, that y'all know many people play videos, that had wind up getting together and going into this virtual world where one's the woman, one is the man. And this whole thing generating an emotional effect on them where it basically controls their so-called impulses, their emotions, to where they get into this psychological feeling or this area where they have feelings that they've never felt before. Now, you're going to see, as this technology moves forward, the control it's going to have on people. Now, they already have these virtual headsets that where basically change your surrounding when you are looking through the headset, but now they brought on, you can bring people in. If you go to Mark Zuckerberg's video, you're going to find that this is bringing people in, your friends and all, that can click on a button and come into this room, this space, to where y'all can operate in different fashions. Now, we know the evils of society. We know that there are people who will create different sites, these developers, and they will wind up programming where you can go into these neurotic rooms or have people come in and do all kinds of things. Not just workplace that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to act like it's the forerunner of this whole so-called virtual metaverse, but it is for to create these places that you will be able to go. Stay in the confines of your house. You don't have to go to these X-rated places. Your children don't have to be meeting up at sleepovers or going out to bars and things like that. You can sit here, go into a space, and you can invite your friends in, and y'all can play the role in whatever you want to whatever it means. We have now physical things that one can use to basically bring in the bedroom, bring in the so-called exotic romance that you might have this, you might be fixated on. But here it is that this thing, like you saw in the short film, that it will take you to a place that will take control over you. Basically, taking your soul. Now, as comical as it may sound, I am blowing the whistle, because my thing is that to bring awareness to people that you need to be aware of what you are about to embark on, especially your children. This thing here is going to control a people. Can you imagine now that you don't have to be with your wife or your husband? You can now go in and meet your coworker or meet another woman on the street, say, let me get your number. And we call each other and we go into these make-believe places, these spaces, and we can just have our fun. And then I come back out and it's none to me. It's taken away the so-called excitement, the real feel that is going on away from your spouse, your loved one. Can you imagine that you can go ahead and meet up with people and do things that you can secretly do that don't have to be exposed anymore? This is dangerous, family. This is very dangerous. And for Mark Zuckerberg and these others who are behind the scenes, those who made the short film, I've said this before, movies are only to show what is to come. It's what's derived or what is going on in the man's psyche anyway. He puts it on paper and write a book. He puts it in the film so that he can create a story that's what's actually going on within him. This is the psychotic evilness that's going on in our society.
What can you buy with $1 US?
Bitcoin. And while Facebook wants to change their name and create this monster to where it will then grab hold of so many people that you will become reliant, become dependent upon. Your emotions will be basically manipulated. You will then become this zombotic or this zombie that operates in a fashion that this virtual world that all of these so-called designers will come and create. I can see where this is headed. You can bring whatever into rooms and meeting places that it will take you from the basics of reality of life. In the description below, look at the video that I have put in the link for Mark Zuckerberg's explanation on this so-called metaverse that you will be able to see. That it's going to go further and deeper beyond. Because this black mirror that I saw this a couple years ago sprung into my spirit when I saw what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do. That sprung up instantly because I thought when I saw this evil short film, two men operating in fashions that they would typically not operate in, that you could play a character and then caught in the mix of it, get involved, get in the way of you and your relationship with your wife. That this whole thing is nothing but a setup to take people's soul and have dominion over it. Educate you and yours. Because this is coming down the pipe. They've already said that they're already going to be selling at least 10 million by next year. And then just in 3 to 4 to 5 years, they're looking at having like 9 billion sold. We need to wake up and realize that just like these two men in this so-called short movie, it will wreck your life. It will change your life. This is your man, not your boy. Go black to Africa. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
Religion Center. Plans have now been unveiled in New York, and they are planning to break ground soon. Images and video have now been released for the Abrahamic Family House in New York. The plans will include a mosque, a church, and a synagogue, and were decreed by the Higher Committee of Human Fraternity. Now, a Catholic Archbishop is pushing back on Pope Francis, sounding the alarm on the blasphemous facility to be erected in Abu Dhabi. Before I get into this, if you're new here, hit the red button down below to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you are the first to know when the latest news is published. We Love Trump reports that the Bible is very clear when it comes to the great apostasy that is to come to the earth in the last days, and it appears as if we are in the midst of it. In 1 Timothy, the Bible says, "Now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons." One of those deceptive doctrines that is roaming the earth is the idea that all religions can coexist. The Higher Committee of Human Fraternity is now constructing a one-world religious headquarters in the UAE called the Abrahamic Family House, which will consist of a church, a mosque, and a Jewish temple located all together in a complex at the capital of the UAE. Euronews published a puff piece we're about to show you, celebrating the center with all of the liberal polishing this black campus. Watch.
Everyone, I'm Dalia Hassan and welcome to Inspire News. We're focusing on the topic of inclusion and tolerance within regional states, starting with a project in the UAE, which will be a home to a mosque, a church. Religious history was made in Abu Dhabi last year when the document on human fraternity was signed by Pope Francis, 𝕃.ℝ.𝔹, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. For tolerance, universal peace, and the reconciliation of all. Embodying this year, construction will start on a project called the Abrahamic Family House at Island. Due for completion in 2022, the site will house a church, mosque, and a synagogue. Award-winning Ghanaian architect Sade, who is spearheading the project, and humbled to receive the commission, and having identified timber and bronze as classic used in all three religions, Sir David has articulated them differently for each in the capital.
The project is being monitored closely by Pope Francis and Grand Imam Ahmed Eb Talib Al-Azhar, who both blessed the new project. Now let's take a look at what the complex will look like finishes in 2022.
Love to discover, who know an open mind is the only kind, who are their own personal stylist, and who...
Hang on. Let's see. This is pretty crazy, huh?
Product 0782162. Let me say this.
Wait, this is the first one.
وحياة الله يسكن. What's the number? Well, see, this site can't be reached. I tried to reach that site.
Stand his other arm. Let's see if it does anything to mine. Go slowly on his other arm. Lower.
I've done this whole arm. There's nothing. I did that one again.
Do the other one again.
So?
I lost the little metal wall. Yeah, look, I've got magnets.
Ahmed, move. Ahmed.
Go slower, just stop in the spot.
I see where it scanned. What the hell did it just scan?
You're going too fast.
Relax. How did it scan? Oh, we can hear it.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Scanner. There's the evidence, boys. So you know, your number 1931-3734. That's what product you are now.
Second trial. انت هتعمل ضجة على بيصحابوك. No way.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right.
Hold on. Yeah, heads up for 11/9, whatever, I guess. We'll see. We'll see about that. Let me see, hold on. Wait a second. Did you guys hear about this thing right here? This is pretty crazy.
It just felt like we was like literally like in fucking hell, bro. Like it felt like we was in a concert in hell. You couldn't breathe, you couldn't see. Like just imagine all the people they gonna find tonight who was in that crowd, who nobody could see, who nobody could hear, who passed out, and everybody was just trampling on top of them the whole fucking concert. Like I'm thinking it's probably gonna be like at least 100 people who dead tonight. Like I kid you not. Like in the VIP section, it was so many bodies laid out. People was getting pulled out who was fainted, and the medics were trying to give them CPR, and they was flipping them over, and like they was literally turning them black and blue. Like I never seen death in my fucking life, bro. Just by me alone, it was probably like 10 fucking people laid out dead. And like once the medics tried to help them, they wasn't responding. They moved to the next person. It was nothing they could have do. Like this shit really fucked me up and like really spooked me tonight. Like that was like some demonic shit. Like, and what was so crazy, like people were screaming help, trying to tell Travis Scott. They was like help. The whole crowd was just going like help, help, help. And he just kept going, bro. It was like that shit was scary, bro. It was so demonic, bro. And mind you, y'all see the type of music I make. Y'all see everything, like, you know, like I've been so heavily influenced by Travis, but like after tonight, bro, like God really showed me, like, you know, like stay up.
This was definitely a God thing, all right? God knew, all right, that this young individual was going to be there. He allowed this to happen, and he knew that this individual was going to get on the phone and record this message. And whether this guy knows it or not, he just preached a message that, you know, it's going viral. And it's like, it's one of those things that God is allowing it so the whole world could hear. People who, you know, wouldn't necessarily listen to a message or listen to preaching, they're actually hearing preaching because this guy, there's seeds planted in him. He's talking about God. He's talking about, hey, this feels demonic. And this is one of those times that God is allowing even people who have never stepped in a church, but they're curious what happened at this concert. You know what I'm saying? So they click on the video and they watch it, and God is showing them, hey, the demonic realm is real. He's giving them a wake-up call. He's using this individual as an evangelist, and God has always done this. Now, you know, some people, they might get in the comments and argue, but let me tell you something. Read Colossians. The Bible says all things were created by God, for him, by him, and they all consist by him. Principalities, powers, it doesn't just say good powers and good principalities. So God is in control of everything at all times. And so now he's allowed this individual to have a national stage. And he's pretty much telling the world, hey, the demonic realm is real. This felt evil. Something didn't feel right. It felt like I was in hell. Wake up. Wake up, man. God has given us the signs. He wants people to repent. He wants people to come in the truth, so he's showing them.
Some of these I just had to push like on because I can't save.
Since shutting down Pfizer was unthinkable, Pfizer and the feds cut a deal. And here's how they did it. Pfizer, located here in New York, owns a company named Pharmacia Corporation, which owns another company called Pharmacia and Upjohn LLC, which owns Pharmacia and Upjohn Company LLC, which in turn owns Pharmacia and Upjohn Company Incorporated. And what does Pharmacia and Upjohn Company Incorporated do? Nothing. It's a shell created to be a legal shield for Pfizer. In other words, if Pfizer was at risk of being convicted, the shell company would take the hit. Think of it as the great-great-grandson of the parent company. Birthday, March 27, 2007. Just in time to plead guilty in a kickback case against a company Pfizer had acquired a few years earlier. With that conviction, Pharmacia and Upjohn Company Incorporated, which had never sold so much as a single pill, was excluded from Medicare. 2 years later, when Pfizer was in trouble with Bextra, Pharmacia and Upjohn Company Incorporated, the shell company, stepped up again and pleaded guilty. It was like having an imaginary friend, an imaginary bad guy to take the rap. And Pfizer, too big to nail, is still doing business with the federal government.
It is true that if a company is created to take a criminal plea, but it's just a shell, the impact of an exclusion is minimal or non-existent.
Did the punishment fit the crime? Pfizer says yes. It paid nearly $1.2 billion in a criminal fine for Bextra, the largest fine ever. It paid $1 billion more to settle civil suits, although it denies wrongdoing on allegations it illegally promoted 12 other drugs. In all, Pfizer lost the equivalent of 3 months' profit. But even Mike Laus, who spent more than a decade prosecuting some of the largest drug companies in the country, isn't sure that $2 billion is enough to make Big Pharma clean up its act.
I worry that the incentives are so great, the money is so great, that has maybe made dealing with us, the Department of Justice, as just a cost of doing business.
So, Drew, what does Pfizer have to say about all this?
Anderson, nothing on camera. After a lot of back and forth, we got a phone conversation with the company's chief compliance officer. He told us, look, Pfizer takes full responsibility for illegally promoting Bextra, and to prevent it from happening again, here's what Pfizer said it's done. It set up a leading-edge system. It monitors sales reps, tracking prescription sales and proactively looking for signs that its people are illegally promoting these drugs.
So is Pfizer doing this voluntarily?
No. not all voluntary. Pfizer, they had to sign what's called a corporate integrity agreement with the Department of Health and Human Services. Basically, the executives at Pfizer have to sign on the dotted line to say that their company is going to comply with the law.
But, I mean, you look at this thing, and, I mean, if Pfizer is too big to fail, and even the biggest fine in history is just a few months' profit, then what's going to stop it from illegally promoting other drugs?
Critics say, Anderson, nothing. Nothing. They think that this is really, even though it's a big, big fine, you know, what, $2 billion, they say, look, it is a cost of doing business. And until, even the prosecutor, until and unless somebody goes to prison, somebody high up goes to prison, and or the company is banned from selling drugs to Medicare or Medicaid, this activity, like it has in the past with so many other companies, will continue.
True. Thanks. Keep them on.
All right. Let's see what
Today I'm going to
about.
show you how to make the survival food that saved America during the Great Depression. It's long-lasting with
Nanobots have been the holy grail among all kinds of scientists for almost a century at this point. Both their previously thought impossibility and their almost limitless abilities and good that they could offer humanity. The blunt instruments at our disposal provide one of the leading researchers. Neuroscience has undergone a technological revolution in the last few decades as a result of rapid advancements and amazing new capabilities in brain-machine interfaces and groundbreaking new methods such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, which allows for the tracking of neural activity across the entire brain, and optogenetics, which allows for the control of individual neurons with light. Welcome to today's episode of AI News. In this episode, I will show you the new nanotechnology that is already about to be used in clinical trials, what awesome features and abilities beyond medical treatments these new nanobots will have, and finally, what it means for the future of society when we have tiny robots living inside of us being able to take care of anything from tumors to enabling full-dive virtual reality. Despite recent advances in brain-computer interfaces, like as Elon Musk's Neural, we are still a long way from being able to record or activate vast sections of the brain at the single neuron level. Being able to do so might have far-reaching consequences for our understanding of the brain, as well as our capacity to improve its function and treat disease. According to the authors of a new research published in Nature Methods, the growing area of nano-neuro holds the answer to overcoming this divide. According to the researchers, the unique features and small size of nanomaterials might allow them to explore neuronal networks in fundamentally new ways and at previously inconceivable dimensions. Nanotechnology has also been around for a while. Some credit Nobel laureate Richard Feynman, who gave a presentation titled "There's Plenty of Room at the Bottom" to a group of scientists at the American Physical Society conference at Caltech in 1959. In his address, Feynman, known as the father of nanotechnology, presented a theoretical technique that would allow researchers to manage solitary atoms or unique molecules. This method, which had not yet been created, would eventually become the primary application of nanoscience. It wasn't until 1981 when microscopes capable of seeing individual atoms were produced. These early scanning tunneling microscopes reached previously unheard of accuracy and magnification. By allowing researchers to picture individual atoms, they provided credence to the notion that nanotechnology was a viable option. The most apparent use of nanotechnology is simply shrinking the conventional neuroscience toolkit. A slew of new nanoprobe and nanoelectrode designs, many of which use the same technologies that have enabled the downsizing of computer chips, are allowing researchers to record from orders of magnitude more neurons. These probes frequently have other useful characteristics, such as flexibility, optical functionality, or chemical sensitivity. Other materials, such as quartz, carbon nanotubes, and graphene, are also being investigated, each with its own set of features. Most crucially, these small electrodes allow for the investigation of brain activity at the subcellular level. Given the tremendous processing that occurs within neurons, this might greatly increase our knowledge of important aspects of brain function. Magnetic nanoparticles, on the other hand, have the potential to be the most powerful application. Magnetic fields are virtually completely unaffected by the human body, allowing them to be sent deep into biological tissue with no effect. Nanoparticles with the ability to transform magnetic fields into stimuli that activate neurons might be a valuable tool for modulating brain function. According to some academics, it will take roughly 10 years to overcome these obstacles and begin employing nanobots for various types of surgery. Others, though, are skeptical that this is the wisest use of scarce healthcare funds. Robot-assisted surgery is currently more expensive than traditional approaches, and nanorobotics is expected to be equally so in the near to medium future. However, nanotechnology involves more than just making things tiny. When you go down to the scale of atoms and molecules, physics operates on totally different principles, which means nanomaterials might have unusual features that enable entirely new functionality. Plasmonic nanoparticles, for example, have distinct optical characteristics that can be easily modified by modifying their size and shape. According to the scientists, these particles might be used to improve the sensitivity of existing optogenetic techniques, and utilizing light to stimulate and heat them up could potentially make it feasible to trigger neurons to fire with extreme accuracy. Even smaller quantum dots, nanoparticles that produce light in a variety of hues when activated by energy, are a more durable and sensitive alternative to fluorescent dyes currently employed in imaging. Because their fluorescence is also regulated by electric fields, they might possibly be employed to provide an optical readout on neuron activity. Another potential class of nanoparticles is capable of absorbing numerous low-energy electrons and converting them into a high-energy electron. Researchers employed upconverting nanoparticles to allow mice to see infrared by injecting them into the animal's retinas, where they transform incoming information into visible light. Invasive BCI necessitates surgery to insert electrodes beneath the scalp in order to communicate brain signals. The key advantage is that it provides more precise readings. Nevertheless, its disadvantages include surgery-related adverse effects. Scar tissues may form as a result of the procedure, making brain messages weaker. Furthermore, according to 𝕃.ℝ.𝔹, the body may reject the implanted electrodes, resulting in a medical condition. Invasive brain-computer interface research has focused on restoring damaged vision and delivering new capabilities to persons who are paralyzed.
During neurosurgery, invasive brain-computer interfaces are inserted directly into the gray matter of the brain. Invasive devices give the best quality signals of any brain-computer interface device since they are located in the gray matter, but they are prone to scar tissue buildup which causes the signal to become weaker or possibly non-existent as the body reacts to a foreign object in the brain. According to some futurists, your blood may be flowing with tiny nanorobots in the next 10 years to help keep you healthy or even transfer your thoughts to a wireless cloud. They will travel within you on a molecular level, safeguarding your biological system and guaranteeing a good and long life. You're closer to the future than you believe. The word nano is no longer considered unique. We have become accustomed to little technologies and artificial intelligence in our daily lives. Technology has advanced dramatically, as have the potential applications of these minuscule devices. Ray Kurzweil, a futurist and Google Director of Engineering, is an ardent forecast of future events who claims to have a high accuracy record. He is one of the most vocal proponents of the idea that nanobots will be coursing through human bloodstreams in the near future. This prediction science may not be all that far off from present technology. Animals are already being tested with DNA robots to find and kill cancer cells. These programmable DNA strands are capable of moving through the circulation and injecting blood clotting medicines into blood arteries around tumors, thereby cutting off their blood supply. If human trials are successful, these tiny robots might revolutionize cancer treatment and other cell research. However, there are still many obstacles to overcome before injected nanorobots can outperform conventional types of therapy. Cancer diagnosis and treatment is one thing, but small nanobots may play a significant role in the future of medicine for other reasons. According to New Atlas, researchers anticipate that nanobots will soon be able to administer pharmaceuticals to people with excellent precision. This would enable for the delivery of microdoses just where the patient needs them, perhaps reducing the risk of unwanted side effects. Nanobots, according to university experts, might one day be employed to remove plaque in veins and alleviate nutritional disorders, among a myriad of other medicinal applications. Beyond basic treatment, nanobots may enable humans to achieve a higher level of connectedness. The notion that nanobots may one day broadcast our thoughts to the cloud is undoubtedly the most far-fetched of the numerous potential applications for nanobots. This achievement would need significant advances in neurology and nanorobotics, as well as a populace prepared to provide Google direct access to our minds. While it is possible, this capability is most likely a long way off in the future. According to the leading scientists in the field of neuroscience, there is still a long way to go. Getting nanoparticles to where we want them is difficult, as is manufacturing a big number of them without too much fluctuation. While preliminary research indicates that many nanoparticles are biocompatible, demonstrating that they are safe for human usage will take time. Forging ties between two scientific domains with nothing in common may be an even greater difficulty. Overcoming these obstacles, however, might lead to considerable advances in our capacity to record and operate massive brain networks in vivo, which the scientists believe could have far-reaching implications for both science and treatment. So, what is your opinion on nanotechnology having improved so much that it's slowly becoming feasible for nanobots to enter our bloodstream and start controlling or modifying parts of our body? Especially when it comes to reading or writing to our brain, people are very suspicious. Would you trust companies or the government to perform such procedures if the payoff would be you having lots of advantages compared to people who don't? Will you volunteer to take the initial steps toward becoming a cyborg if nanobot injection becomes an option? Are you receptive to such a change? Please tell us your opinion in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say about it. Thank you for watching AI News. We consistently report on the newest technologies that are shaping the future of our world. We'd appreciate you subscribing and watching our other videos. See you around and take care.
Alrighty then, let's see what are on the liked videos, because some are saved here. Prayers for all the babies right now.
My name is Layla Nicole Brown. I'm 3 months old. I was born February 19th, 2020. I was a very happy baby till I went to the doctor on April 20th, 2020 to get my 2-month shot. I was 2 months old at the time. I started having reactions from the later when I turned 3 months old. On May 29, 2020, my mom found me cold on her bed. Those doctors knew what they was doing to me. I was murdered by my own doctors. Keep sharing my story. Say my name, Layla Nicole Brown. Justice for me, Layla Brown. Forever 3 months old, but I'm 1 year.
Simon Cowell. I was told you need to hurry up and go.
Hold on.
All right, y'all. Mark Zuckerberg testifies today in response to the whistleblower and all the evidence presented. One of the big things that came out of it, confirmed by the DOJ, 16.8 million out of 18.4 million child sex trafficking and child sex materials come from Facebook. That's ridiculous. 16.8 million out of 18.4. Mark Zuckerberg's response, we develop and create these sophisticated algorithms and programs in order to stop that, but we can't catch them all. 16.8 out of 18.4, let me say that again.
Zuckerberg Metaverse, pay attention.
16.8 out of 18.4 million
Look what's really going on. Open your eyes.
Come from Facebook. You can't stop it.
Open your eyes. We're going to start over. You guys need to really pay attention to this. Those of you that don't know,
Mark Zuckerberg
wake up.
Testifies today in response to the whistleblower and all the evidence presented. One of the big things that came out of it, confirmed by the DOJ, 16.8 million out of 18.4 million child sex trafficking and child sex materials come from Facebook. That's ridiculous. 16.8 million out of 18.4. Mark Zuckerberg's response, we develop and create these sophisticated algorithms and programs in order to stop that, but we can't catch them all. 16.8 out of 18.4, let me say that again. 16.8 out of 18.4 million child sex trafficking and child sex materials come from Facebook. You can't stop it, but let one of us say something about the vaccine or hydroxychloroquine or Trump or anything. Fucking account deleted. Y'all can stop all that shit every single time. Like that. You're spending time on that shit, pushing a narrative for your buddies over in the Democrat side, but you can't stop child sex trafficking and child porn.
That's crazy. Preach, brother.
Guys, watch this video if you haven't seen it yet. We are in the last days. Satan is not hiding anymore. Witchcraft is real. There's a floating broom in the sky. This video has over 1 million views, and many of you guys are saying it's an alien attack, but it's not. Satan is real. Tarot cards, spirituality, yoga, meditation, crystals, they all open yourself up to witchcraft. Repent and turn to Jesus.
Watch people, because you can fake for a long time, but one day you're going to show yourself to be a phony. That's what's true. You know what I mean? And that's what these, a lot of people are doing these days. Don't support the phonies. Support the real. You know what I mean? How can these people be talking about how they so real and they don't care about our communities? How can they be talking about what they, all this, the hood, blah, 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 blah. They don't care about our communities. You know what I mean? Listen to the words that people say in their lyrics and tell me if that's some real, if that's real to you. You know what I mean? Listen to what they saying. Don't just bob your head to the beat. Peep the game. And listen to what I'm saying and hold us accountable for it. I would tell each and every person out there, don't forget about that clicking up thing, you know what I mean? Be to yourself. Stay to yourself. Trust nobody. Trust nobody. After dog. You know what I mean? Straight up. My closest friends did me in. My closest friends, my homies, people who I done took care of their whole family. I done took care of everything for them, looked out for them, put them in the game.
Hi guys.
Sorry. I don't like my own videos.
So you mean to tell me that you're going to threaten the unvaccinated for not following the line that you're trying to keep everybody in, for not following the simulation because they are woke? Y'all better buckle up, because if they're doing it right now over there, best believe it's going to happen all over the world, and we already know this, okay? You got more people dying getting it than not getting it. But yet you still trying to force this on everybody. It's Bible prophecy. In a minute, we ain't going to be able to do nothing without that poke. So y'all better buckle up and get ready for the ride.
Oh, dude, I think I'm going to hurl. Here, take a snip of this alcohol swab. Doctors and nurses use it all the time to help with nausea. Man, I just cannot fall asleep.
Hang on.
Okay, so this is probably going to take a couple of parts, but I promise you it is worth it. Please listen. This is nuts. So I went to the bookstore the other day and I found this book, and it's all about conspiracy theories from the Vatican, like Catholic Church and shit throughout history. So I was raised Catholic and I had never heard about this legend. Apparently, there was a pope that reigned from around 855 to 857 AD. Her name was Pope Joan. So this woman, she played herself off as a man, worked her way up, became the freaking pope, and got caught because she was riding horses one day, and the stress from riding the horse set off premature labor. So people found out, first of all, that she was pregnant, second of all, that she was a woman. So she got tied to the tail of a horse, dragged through the streets of Rome, and then she was stoned to death by an angry mob, allegedly. There's more. There's gonna be part 2. There's more.
Already.
So I just think it's funny how I'm sitting here cramping so fucking bad, right? I'm trying to do like some research for like TikTok and YouTube, and I'm reading this article called Top 10 Bizarre Links Between Seemingly Unrelated Things. I'm sitting here about to take a Tylenol because I feel like I'm getting punched in my fucking stomach right now. And number 4 on this list is actually the link between painkillers and less empathy. Listen to this is really interesting. 52 million Americans consume pain pills every week. The painkiller known as Tylenol apparently has over 600 medications that contain it as an ingredient. In 2016, a study was done that found that painkillers actually lower people's empathy towards each other. So during this experiment, volunteers drink the maximum dosage allowed for one day, and then they read stories where people suffered physically or emotionally. Afterwards, they rated how deeply they thought the characters experienced pain. Volunteers who took the placebo thought that the victims had a tougher time. So a second test was done, found that the people who took Tylenol actually had less empathy for themselves as well. Also blasted music, the placebo group showed more emotions towards this music. I don't know why this is though.
Behold, Ziploc containers with leak-proof superpowers.
Hold tight.
For all of life's action-packed moments, S.C. Johnson and see Marvel Studios' Eternals only in theaters.
Today's conspiracy theory is going to be one of the craziest we've covered so far, and I must warn you, if you have anxiety, please do not watch this. So this theory, we're going to talk about the movie Songbird, which is supposed to come out next year, and it's supposed to talk about COVID-23. So now we're going to talk about predictive programming. The definition is here. You can pause if you want to read it. But it's basically the media psychologically brainwashing us to accept something that's about to happen. And we saw this a lot with 9/11. There were so many cartoons imitating 9/11 before it actually happened. Now I'm going to show you pieces of the trailer which are really realistic.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown. A grim new reality emerges. COVID-23. Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors and 10 minutes. All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps.
So what if the government is programming us to accept the next few lockdowns? Let me know in the comments.
Here are 5 psychological tricks that you can always use.
Like, dang, they already planning how to put you in a casket and you ain't even stopped breathing yet. That just goes to show you how they are already planning for you to die. Once you lay up on one of these cardboard hospital beds, best believe you ain't coming out. This is so sad. People really, honestly, really need to wake up or see what's going on, okay? And I don't want to hear nothing about, you don't know what it's like. Okay, my family already went through the whole COVID situation, so I'm already woke. I already know what's going on.
So I have not tested this myself. However, I just saw a video, and I've heard this before, but I'm not sure if it's true, that apparently your iPhone takes an infrared picture of you every 5 seconds.
This is crazy.
I'm going to show you guys the video.
Have your home screen?
It's on the home screen.
Not touching anything.
The lens.
Okay, infrared lens on the camera. Boom, there was one. 2. That's so wild. Okay, cover the camera. Oh, there was another one. Okay, nothing. Oh, it's trying. It's taking pictures of your finger.
Why was Nikola Tesla so obsessed with the Great Pyramids Part 2? Not only do their coordinates resemble the speed of light, but their location is actually very important as well. Tesla realized it's located exactly at a point where the electromagnetic...
So everyone's talking about Gabby, but nobody's talking about this.
Imagine that, 55 years after his death, Walt Disney's body
This is not on the
will be
news.
saw December 2021
This.
in an attempt to bring him back to life. Oh, that's my Amy. Bible prophecy, y'all. Said that the sea will dry up. Well, look at it. crazy.
Secrets the Government Doesn't Want You Knowing, Part 1. This is Mark Cummings at UC Berkeley, and he studied the energetic effect of crystals. He figured out that in some cases, if you put pressure on some crystals, it will let out an electric charge.
R&B.
He could enhance the effects by wrapping an electric coil around the crystal. One night he was just messing around with different currents and voltages, and something really weird happened. The crystal began to glow and ring. When he measured the energy coming out of the crystal, he realized that it was 25% more strong than the current going in. He discovered a method for creating free energy. Within a few hours of this discovery, his house was raided by government officials and everything was taken. For part 2.
Watch her face. Look at her eyes.
Robot.
What the fuck is that? What is...
Sorry,
Once upon a time, there was a civilization that was far superior and more sophisticated than we could ever imagine. This civilization was systematically destroyed and hidden from our history books. This civilization used atmospheric energy to obtain electricity. Having free energy meant that humanity could focus on more serious endeavors, such as creation, creativity, love, and self-development. We see these same geometric, beautiful buildings all over the world, from Africa to China to Japan to South America to Europe. These buildings show us that we lived in an interconnected culture, a culture that understood the deeper levels of existence and how to harness electromagnetic energy. History is a lie and a story built by our oppressors to continue to keep us enslaved, but we will rise again.
Weird stuff going on at Walmart.
They must just be Ray doing the sign too.
Hold on. Hang on tight. Let's see what this is talking about.
Can you type in pink sneakers?
How much do you have?
Like 1,000 pennies. Okay. Oh my gosh, yes, those! Thank you! You're welcome.
Crypto.com Visa card. A metal card. Powered by crypto.
It's Guy Fawkes night. Was V for Vendetta some sort of portal to the future? Let's have a little think about Guy Fawkes night and a look at V for Vendetta to see if it's an eerie window into the future. How many things they foresaw have since set in 2020. Ooh.
Wait.
Future. How...
Let's kick up the speed. Kick it up a little bit. Quality. Let's see. Fix it.
Many things they foresaw have since come true. Here's some basic things about V for Vendetta. It's set in 2020. Ooh, it just was 2020. V for Vendetta's director, James McTeague, says the decision to pick 2020 is
slow down a teeny bit more. My bad.
The year in which the film was set was simply a coincidence. When we set the film, we were just abstracting into the future, said McTeague. Is it good fortune, the timing, or something that happens every once in a while? I just don't know. There are many themes, ideas, and moments in the film that do seem eerily resonant. Let's have a look.
I wish I wasn't afraid all the time, but I am.
That's what you want from Natalie Portman, isn't it? Her expertly rendering the way that many of us feel much of the time, a kind of oppressive sense of fear everywhere. It's almost impossible to imagine what life was like in 1605 in Britain, the complexities of the religious sectarian conflict that was going on then, although of course sectarian conflict is ongoing in some places in the world. What interests me is not people of religious faith turning against one another, because I tend to think that most violence is ultimately political, even if it's framed as religious, because it's ultimately about power, and what is power if not politics. Pretty cool costume, I'll say that as well. There was a time here in this country where people were going around in their masks. Of course, the entire anonymous movement used those masks, and it felt pretty edgy and cool. I was involved, you can look at the old videos if you want, in politics around 2015, talking about the futility of voting, the senselessness of institutional power, corruption within the world of high finance, and I had affiliations with people that were involved in some of those organisations, and it fascinated me deeply. Sometimes a movement requires iconography, certainly requires myths and heroes, because they are useful ways of moving something forward. Storytelling is a very, very powerful vehicle for changing the world. Sometimes I think that
certain bureaucratic forms of politics, e.g. on the left, feel sort of grey and dull and stymieing just to listen to. At some point you have to emotionally engage people. You have to get in touch with people's anger and people's fear. V for Vendetta clearly did that. At certain points in recent history, movements like, I don't know, the Yellow Vests or Occupy have touched upon that sense that we need to come together as a people to challenge power.
Gentlemen, I want this terrorist found, and I want him to understand what terror really means.
Also quite cool that John Hurt stars in 1984, the film based on George Orwell's novel, and the dude playing Guy Fawkes there, or V, is Agent Smith out of The Matrix. Nice to see all these parables and dystopian predictions come together in one object, itself inspired by real historical events and a kind of now somewhat benign cultural tradition of bonfire night. It's fascinating, isn't it, how the system can bring us all together to celebrate the failure or thwarting of people that challenged its ideals. We'll all come together and celebrate, oh wow, someone tried to challenge power. Admittedly, it was a pretty hefty challenge of power. It was going to blow up the Houses of Parliament. That's what the gunpowder plot was, but these were very different times.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
I suppose often when you see parodies of power in cinema, whether it's like The Matrix or this film, both graphic novels that became movies, is necessarily amplified and simplified to conform to archetypal themes and ideas. But these archetypes have resonance because they touch upon truths. Even if it's not literal truths, certain emotional truths are strongly felt when you watch these films. And V for Vendetta really captures the idea of a dystopia and disconnection and an elite cartel that have access to lots of resources and live in a kind of synthetic and abstracted life, which I've sometimes felt part of in my own life, and also other times in my life I've felt part of an underworld of disconnected people that have no access at all to resources. So a graphic novel or indeed a film of the nature of V for Vendetta has to use sort of tropes and images and ideas that are recognisable while also necessarily are also exaggerations.
Who's caught in violation of curfew will be prosecuted without leniency or exception.
Other things you'll see in the film are curfews, which of course is something we've experienced a lot of, and more importantly and perhaps more safely to speculate on, a world of total surveillance. In the film, the US is in the middle of fighting a second civil war while fighting off a virus with the rest of the world. That's interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes you look at American politics and culture and think, in fact many pundits say, it feels like a civil war, an ideological war. In fact, if you look at the various phases of warfare, some people say you could regard what's currently happening as a form of warfare. And meanwhile, the UK, where most of the story takes place, is a police state, and its crazed leader attempts to keep order through strict surveillance, control of the media, and by sending anyone deemed undesirable to concentration camps. You can also identify the power of the systems we live within when you witness the fact that they can make stories and films that are about corruption, that present governments as corrupt, that present corporations as sort of faceless, anonymous, and venal, and we will consume it as entertainment. It's something that Mark Fisher wrote about extensively, that the system is so robust that it can even present to us sort of truthful and evocative images, and we will still just consume it as entertainment.
Those who are responsible will be held accountable.
Sometimes I think that his bangs are not good. The fringe. I think, grow that out.
This country stands by the edge of oblivion.
Everyone will remember why they need us. The idea that we must remember why we need our government, why we need our chains, why we need to be controlled is an ongoing theme that many critics of power, from Foucault to Baudrillard, have looked at extensively. The idea that we now imprison ourselves mentally, internally, what's that thing, the Pentacon or Opticon, or you'll know it, Foucault's idea that we feel that we're continually being watched. It was someone else wrote it, Bamfirst. I can't remember all the details, but there was a sort of perfect prison where you could be seen from wherever you were in that prison. We now live in a surveillance state. We now live with a degree of caution and nervousness about every form of communication and everything we say. We're not certain at all about whether we're doing the right thing. We are living in a kind of comfortable form of tyranny. Now people will say, oh, you should go to a real country under tyrants like a Maoist China or Stalinist Russia. And Jesus, I bet there's some heavy shit going on, but there's more than one way to skin a cat.
I suddenly had this feeling that everything was connected. We're all part of it.
Of course, the thing I like most about that film is when people come together and under a mask of anonymity stand up against tyranny. The mask, I suppose, suggesting that your individual identity and the way that you affiliate culturally ain't as important as the solidarity that we can all feel for one another, that together we have more shared interests than we do things that divide us, that if we come together, we can indeed change the world, that it's possible to create new realities, and the people that tell us that it's impossible benefit from things staying the same. Well, that's just what I think about V for Vendetta and Fireworks Night and the idea of revolutionary or radical change, albeit definitely non-violent. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you think about that film. If you think it's an eerie prophecy or whether you just think it's a bit of sci-fi fun. Tell me your views of Bonfire Night if you happen to be British. Do you love old Guy Fawkes or do you think of him as a bit of a bad guy? What do you Americans or Australians or people from anywhere in the world, China, Vietnam, wherever you are, Sweden, let me know what you think about this stuff. And please have a little look at this video where I do similar things if you enjoyed this one, and also sign up to my Awakening side channel. Every week I have deep conversations.
Let's check this. It's very short.
Cabinets, countertops, accessories. Schedule a consultation with one of our expert designers to start planning your...
Jeez.
And staying with COVID-19, both the AstraZeneca and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines have been linked to rare but potentially serious neurological complications. Following research from the University of Oxford on more than 32 million people in England, analysts found 38 cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome per 10 million people given the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has resulted in numbness, tingling, and muscle weakness. There were around 60 cases of hemorrhagic stroke per 10 million given the Pfizer vaccine. However, experts pointed out that not getting vaccinated is still more dangerous.
Wow. No comment. I'm not allowed to anyway.
Plans have now been unveiled in New York, and they are planning to break ground soon. Images and video have now been released for the Abrahamic family house in New York. The plans will include a mosque, a church.
Okay, hold on. This is only 18 seconds. That says scary Vitalik.
So it's still years away, but you're not just working on that. You also have other projects. 𝕃.ℝ, maybe we can talk about
ooh, creepy AF.
𝕃.�̃.
What the heck?
So many cryptocurrencies.
Bro, rewind. Whoa. Oh god. I didn't mean to. If you've ever had this feeling. My bad. Bro, did you see dude's face though? Oh wait. Stand by. Who have mercy? Oh, dear Jesus, please bless that young man. Demons all up in him. Lord have mercy. Look at that now. The screen is taking forever, sorry.
2021 maybe. So it's still years away, but you're not just working on that. You also have other projects. 𝕃.ℝ, maybe we can talk about Raiden and...
Pause. Bro.
2021 maybe. So it's still years away, but you're not just working on that. You also have other projects.
Ethereum.
𝕃.ℝ, maybe we can talk about
Raiden
and Plasma.
Sorry, I'm like right next to the phone.
So
my bad.
many cryptocurrencies.
What the heck? Damn. Yeah, he did look upset, huh? God damn. He looked a little bit peeved. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Let's see. We're not going to watch this, but just look at the title of this video. Look at this. This person got paid $5 million. Hold on. Let me close this. $5,500,000 to never mention God. That's crazy. Anyway, let's watch this. It's 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Watch as this assembly line pumps out tiny machines called micromotors. These micromotors are only a few hundred micrometers long, and they can move when put inside a magnetic field. Scientists propose that micromotors like these could one day deliver drugs inside the body, or clean up wastewater by absorbing pollutants. Micromotors can propel themselves in a number of ways. A popular way to get around is to use a chemical fuel, such as hydrogen peroxide. Materials in the micromotors react with the fuel to produce jets of gas bubbles that push the tiny particles forward. But this approach can introduce toxic compounds into the motor surroundings. Ditching the fuel and just using an external magnetic field to move the motors avoids these toxicity issues. It's a strategy that's also well suited for biomedical applications because magnetic fields can penetrate the body. Now, a team of researchers at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and Huaqiang University of Science and Technology have developed novel magnetic responsive micromotors made of graphene. Researchers can easily attach other molecules to graphene, and the material has a high surface area which makes it attractive for picking up pollutants. The corkscrew shape helps micromotors move in a rotating magnetic field, but it's been challenging to make helical micromotors from graphene until now. To make the micromotors, the team developed a cheap microfluidic method. The team pumps oil through a solution of graphene oxide and magnetic iron oxide, and a solution of sodium alginate. What comes out are tiny corkscrews with an oil droplet head attached to a graphene oxide-based tail, all of which are sealed inside a sodium alginate fiber. The helical motors get their signature shape through the liquid rope coil effect. This effect depends on precisely controlling the flow speed of each fluid. For instance, if the oil is injected slowly, the material comes out fairly straight, but as you increase the oil speed, you'll see the material start to form coils. The team takes the coils they made and reduces the graphene oxide to graphene, then washes away the oil and sodium alginate to isolate individual graphene micromotors. By applying a magnetic field, the researchers could navigate the micromotors through a microfluidic channel, and they found that motors that have smaller diameters and more space between their coils moved best. The team also attached silver to the micromotors to investigate their ability to kill bacteria. The silver micromotors could kill E. coli in a petri dish, most effectively when they were moved around by a magnetic field. While micromotors haven't appeared in real-world applications yet, many devices, like this one, are moving forward.
Okay, that looks fun and special there.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
I sure haven't seen
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I just want to let you know this is an important announcement. I have an important video going up tonight about the Travis Scott concert, wink wink, on, you know, a specific date with Kris Jenner, her 66th birthday. No big coincidence, of course. And it's going up on my new channel. And I have 2 new channels. And so if you're hearing this, you might already be subscribed and say, well, call, I'm already there, I'm waiting. Well, that's great. I appreciate that so much. But you're also somebody who might never get notifications, might have taken a break, might be checking in, might just see this coincidentally, or divine intervention. So I want to let you know I have 2 channels. I'm linking them below. I'm taking this video down in a day or 2 because I don't want my channels linked. And it's important that you sub to those channels. I have a lot of important stuff about, you know, everything that's going on in the world with the outbreak and why they want this specific thing inside your body on these channels. And everything going on with the Great Reset, the destruction of the economy, the reason for the inflation, the reason for everything you are hearing, whether you're trying to hear it or you're not trying to hear it, that's going on in the news. Whether you hear your mother, your father, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your trans sister, that was a joke, somebody telling you this stuff or not, you're hearing about it because you know that the world is pretty much falling apart. And if you don't, then you're under a rock. But I don't see at this point how anyone could not be seeing this stuff, unless, of course, you're extremely, quote-unquote, liberal, and you're naive to this stuff, and your most important focus is, well, removing a specific body part off your body, which is another story for another day. Stay silent. So make sure you click the links below and sub to those channels and click the notification bell so you can get these videos. Again, I'm covering the Travis Scott thing tonight. I've been covering stuff with the metaverse, which is really, really important for those of you who have not been following my channel to know about why this is important. Transhumanism, the mark. These are important things now. For those of you who used to subscribe and don't listen anymore, or have just thought I've fallen off the face of the earth and haven't seen videos where I've told you where I am, or haven't looked me up or forgot I existed, it is really important now more than ever to know this stuff. Because this is it. We're here. This isn't, you know, well, we're looking at a video, we're seeing signs and symbols that celebrities are throwing up. This is it. We're in the last stages here. Now, I'm not giving you a date or a time, but if you can't see the control from the governments around the world, from Australia to New Zealand, the stuff going on in America with so many Americans losing their jobs, hundreds of thousands, well, millions are losing their jobs because of the mandates. This is about government control now. This hasn't been a republic, but now they're letting you know it was never a republic in the first place. And these videos I'm putting up are really, really important so you can learn about graphene, you can learn about what they're trying to do with magnetism, connecting you to the internet, which I know sounds insane, but trust me, just listen, and you'll start realizing this stuff when you start seeing it, because they're talking about it openly in forums and events with people like President Joe Biden in attendance about connecting the internet inside your body. This is transhumanism. This has to do with the mark and the end, and these are things you need to be aware of. So the links are below, and obviously, like I said, the Travis Scott thing I'm going to cover as well, because there's a lot of coincidences there, right? So hopefully some of you guys reconnect and sub to the other channels, and I have something about Sesame Street as well, and the wonderful episode they did today targeting 5 to 11-year-olds with Elmo and Big Bird and all these characters, letting the kids know that they should want to go and you know, get vaccinated. Isn't that wonderful? No prop there. But if it was the other way around, of course, you'd be silenced and canceled and taken off the internet. So there's nothing to be concerned about, folks. If you have a difference of opinion, you have to be silenced because you're selfish or you're uninformed. In fact, the majority of our society is completely uninformed and unaware. So get informed. Sub to my other channels now if you haven't. And again, I also have a website at callforuprising.com, which is where everyone should be. There's a forum on there where people are posting every few minutes, great information, stuff going on in their towns, their channels, videos they see on YouTube, BitChute, other places, so people can continue to be aware, educate themselves. We're all learning from each other, and of course sharing knowledge, sharing places that people can go if they want to get off the grid, sharing places that people can apply for jobs where they're not going to be forced to be mandated, things like that. So the website is extremely important, and I also upload exclusive videos over there that I can't get up on YouTube because I can't talk about certain stuff. Yeah, and again, so you're hearing this on my 2 main channels. Make sure you do that if you haven't, at least subscribe to the others, and hopefully I'll see you on the website as well. I appreciate all of you greatly. Miss a lot of you. Hope to see you soon, and God bless all of you and your families.
Likewise, bruh. See what this is about, right?
It's amazing to me that people don't see it, but I'm sure that's a mere coincidence that on her 66th birthday bash, because that number's not significant, that we had all of this go down. And again, let's look at Astroworld.
Let's take a look at this thing.
That he holds it every year. I've covered it before because one of the years Kanye West and Marilyn Manson became best pals there, so to speak, at least in front of the camera for people to see. And this is when Kanye was first coming out telling everyone that he was the world's greatest Christian and that he was doing Sunday service and he was saved, even though his entire career is about mocking Jesus with Jesus. And of course, Jesus walks.
Hey, you know what?
People thought he was Christian because of that. He's going on covers of Rolling Stone wearing the crown of thorns. Stuff that's just a mockery to God. But anyway,
he loves Jesus and stuff now because he was amazing. Nice.
This is interesting that I'm covering this, and it's not just because a lot of you demanded it. It's actually because I was working on a video covering what they're starting to do with virtual concerts in the metaverse. Now, how does this tie in? Well, I'll explain it to you, and I'll explain in Travis Scott's ties to the occult, the Illuminati, Satanism, through his music and his songs, and through his relationships with people like the Kardashians. So where should I start? I'll start with the event that occurred. If you didn't hear, there was some type of stampede, people, kind of so many people at a concert that they were just squished each other and people got trampled, which of course is tragic in its own right. Things like that can obviously happen. But I think we live in a world where we realize when Satanists are involved, you can either look at them as hoaxes or rituals, or in some events, false flags. Now, in this case, there's not enough video, at least now, to show, and obviously here on YouTube, we can't talk about things being real or fake. We could just go with at least the narratives that we see. Well, here's where I'll start. Here's a guy who releases a song and an album on the same day in the last 24 hours called Escape Plan. So you say, Escape Plan, interesting. Now, what have I been talking about recently? The Escape Plan, the elites escaping underground, escaping to the virtual realm. Well, this is what I was working on before this event happened. This is his virtual concert. Him, Drake, all of these celebrities are now beginning to do this. This is a virtual concert that they're holding. You might say, okay, what does that have to do with anything? Well, what is going on right now with the outbreak? How distant are we seeing people become? Not just social distancing with the 6 feet. People are becoming distant, and more hateful and resentful towards each other, which of course is biblical. People in the end times, people are going to hate one another, despise one another. And really what we're seeing is a disconnect between humanity and one another, and a connection with technology. People are more connected to their phones and technology, right? So, since the outbreak has happened, there have been multiple things that have occurred at concerts, especially, obviously, even before the concert, the event in Las Vegas, which occurred at a concert. They are preparing people to not be interacting in public anymore in spaces like this. You might say, well, that's a crazy way to look at this entire event. I want to know if this is a ritual or not. Well, let me get into the ritual part after. Let me start with what I was talking about with these virtual concerts. Travis Scott is already known for his Fortnite Travis Scott virtual concert, which was watched by millions. This occurred in 2020. Drake is doing the same. They're telling these people to go into the virtual realm and perform their concerts, which means that humans aren't there interacting with each other. Now, one of the ways they can get people into the virtual realm is by scaring them from being out in actual reality, hanging around people, being near people, because it's so dangerous and scary out there. We have bang-bang events that occur at concerts like Las Vegas. We have tramplings that occur, like at this event. And again, that's part of how they're going to work people into the virtual realm. Now, his escape plan thing has to do with the virtual realm. The escape plan. What do you think he's talking about? He's looking to escape his relationship? Is that what he'll tell you? I gotta get out of my escape plan. You call this stuff music. I don't know. I mean, music in general is witchcraft and spellbinding anyway. I can't support any music, and I don't even think I can't remember the last time I heard or listen to anything. It's been a long time, but obviously, that's another story for another day. But here's another thing that ties into it with Escape Plan is this cover. This is the cover that he's using for his thumbnails, and I'm not sure if it's the album cover or not, but on YouTube, this is the thumbnail that he's using for his songs, his audio tracks, which usually is the album cover. It might not be. So it says, Weekly World Truce, the true dystopia is here, okay? And the dystopia, okay, you know what the dystopia means? An imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic, right? So while you have him working and pushing the metaverse, this fake virtual world that they're trying to create, that they're trying to connect people to, that has to go with transhumanism, you have him with his album cover talking about dystopia, which has to do with totalitarianism and a post-apocalyptic world. This is the cover. Then you have this demonic, you want to call it reptilian, vampirian, whatever the word is for these losers. Demonic. Let's just call it this demonic thing there, right? And what does it say at top? Who knows what lies beneath the surface, right? A lot of us have been covering, obviously, the bunkers, the underground bunkers, and a lot of you have been commenting, because a lot of you are extremely smart and knowledgeable. That's why I love having you guys here on the channel and on the website, talking about how these things are going back where they belong, underground, right? And then at the bottom, when the end arrives, it's really the beginning. Because when the end arrives, was talking about the end times, these people are attempting to escape it. And it's the beginning of a new dystopia/utopia, where these people live in a virtual realm, where they're uploading their minds, where they're using things like the Neuralink, which we constantly hear Elon Musk and all of these people talk about, and prepping people for TED Talks and everything else, getting them ready. Obviously, the technology is here. Now it's just about getting people prepared. So when events like this happen, you look at it from multiple angles, right? You see the guy, he throws up devil horns. He's obviously a Satanist. He has a child with Kylie Jenner who was at the concert. The baby was at the concert. Kylie Jenner, okay, the Kardashian family is the most occultic family in Hollywood. That's why they're the richest and the most known. You can look at every one of them and you can see a connection. You can start with the mother, if you want to call it that, Kris, right? The OJ trial, very well connected to OJ. And obviously there's a lot of conspiracies about that. You have Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner now, right? Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner got in that car accident right before the transformation, right? Wink, wink, transformation, trigger word that everyone should be aware of, turning into Caitlyn Jenner, sacrificing many people. Lamar Odom with the situation that he went through with the other sister, Khloe. And then we have Kim, of course, connected to many things, and Khloe, of course, connected to even miscarriages and things like that. And then Kim connected to Kanye, and the two of them being the face of this, they're pretending and playing the role of being Christians and Republicans, right? She's hanging out with Trump, working people over like Kanye is to try to get people on board with this antichrist acceptance that people are going to fall for. So this family is a high-ranking Armenian witch family. I've been covering it for a long time. Her with the vampire facials, eating the placenta on her TV shows. Even yesterday I covered it with the desensitizing, prepping people for the bunkers and them going underground and living in bunkers, right? And then you look at this guy and you see, wow. And then he's got him, his music video that comes out that day has just individual eyeballs on it, right? And it says Utopia, right? And he's got 1, 2, 3, he's got 3 all-seeing eyes and an upside-down pyramid on his shirt. The song came out the same day. What else do you see in the song? You see a massive ritual circle. He's standing there on a hilltop with his dogs, or somebody's dogs, right? There's 6 dogs, another number, inside of this circle. You can see around it. This isn't just some hilltop, and this circle is not an electric fence. It is a circle. It is a ritual circle. They probably up here on the rooftops perform many, many ritual sacrifices. Okay, this actually, when I see this, it reminds me of the McMartin stuff, when Ted Gunderson showed the actual images of the house that got burnt to the ground, that was up in the mountains. It was so high up in the mountains that you couldn't see it. You couldn't see all of the, the sigils and the magic ritual circles that were there, and you had to fly up there. You couldn't even drive up to it. You had to take a helicopter up. That's what it reminds me of, because they're so high up. Look how up there. I don't know if this is this guy's house, or it's just some place that they go to perform rituals, because there's many houses that are out in Hollywood Hills and in many other places where they just perform rituals. That's what they're for. They're there. Millions of dollars, $1 million homes that just go unoccupied and only used for rituals, and they can show up there for the meetings and the rituals. And again, you look at the event that occurred, okay? You look at him, you look at the symbolism, you look at the family relations, you look at the Great Escape, you look at the cover of that, and then you hear a story about people being oh my goodness, they were in such close, so close to each other. And of course, the narrative that comes out of it, for one, is, well, they're not social distancing, right? They'll push that with Texas. They're not social distancing, everyone's cluttered together, and also to continue to keep people distant from one another. This virtual world only exists with humanity distant away from one another. If people were close with one another and in sync with one another, nobody would want to go to a virtual realm. Everybody would realize the stuff they say on the news about race and everything else is made up. But they believe what they see. They believe what they hear. They need humans distant from each other. And then to go to this virtual realm where this guy comes up with Great Escape, he has all this stuff about a utopian, dystopian society, or post-apocalyptic society, while he is one of the faces for this movement to get concerts offline, online, into the virtual realm of worlds like Fortnite, eventually the metaverse, or as most of you pointed out, the death, or what is it, metaverse, the deathverse, right? It's all right in front of us for you to see. Now, I can't tell you was anyone harmed or anything. I have no idea. And I wouldn't have any idea of knowing, because you can only see the footage they show, and then you can speculate on it, which is a lot of the stuff most of us have done over the years. You can see the people involved will get interviewed afterwards, but we can't talk about that stuff here. To me, the message of this is the things that I mentioned to you. What they're trying to do. The next big movement for them with this, because this outbreak has caused humanity to distance themselves from one another, is to get everyone away from each other and get everyone virtual, and to live in this dystopian virtual reality, which will be totalitarianism. So those are my takes on it. I was working on something with this, with Drake and these other celebrities who are pushing this. And this is just a narrative that's going to come of it. Is it dangerous for people? What do you think people think when they hear this? When they hear people getting trampled, they think, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to go to a concert. That's the first thing they think of. That's the very first thing. So people are afraid to go to concerts, go to sporting events, go places where people are going to be close and interact. It gets them distant from one another. Social distancing. The stuff that they're doing now has to do with humanity distancing from one another and then turning on one another, which is what we see with the left, right, and everything else. So that's my take on it. I've showed you him, devil horns, everything else, his connection to the Jenner Kardashian clan, and you could take that for what it's worth. And you might say, well, how could they do something like that, or make something up, or anything like that? Well, we know that the Soroses and all these people plant people in crowds for events. You don't think that they can do something to push the person down? How would you say that anyone was guilty with all those people? We saw what they did on January 6th at the Capitol, planting people inside of a movement that was, just people, older people, not older, but many mixed people, but you saw the actual footage of people just holding up signs and stuff and on megaphones, and then you saw people suddenly turning into Spider-Man, climbing buildings when a caravan arrives and people jump out of it. Oh, wow, can't believe it. Could that be plants? No, couldn't be. The end game for them is divide and conquer. And it has more to do with just dividing us between the left, right. It has to do with dividing humanity, separating humanity from one another. So that's my take on this. I know a lot of you wanted me to cover it. I'm not covering it because it's trending, and I'm not covering it because I felt forced to, because when people asked me at first, I was like, I'll look at it. I looked into it. But, because I was working on this thing with the virtual realm, I started thinking about people and crowds and groups, right? Because that's one of the agendas with the outbreak. It's the separation of humanity. And of course, these people that he's connected to, the signs, the symbols, the shirt in the video, the Great Escape coming up the same day. And of course, once again, like I said, that cover that they're using, and don't forget the ritual circle, the true dystopia is here. When the end arrives, it's really the beginning. And that's what this virtual world is going to be. And who knows what lies beneath the surface. Well, they show some demonic version of himself. Interesting stuff. So take it for what it's worth. I want to cover it for you because a lot of you wanted me to. And again, because I was already working on something with the virtual realm and concerts and things like that, and it fits right into the narrative when you think about it. So hope that helped. Hope that you at least found it interesting. Maybe you can gauge further into it if it's something that interests you. But hopefully some of these thoughts maybe gave you some ideas of what they could be trying to tell you. So thanks for being here, everybody. Hope you're all well. God bless you and your families.
All right. Think we're heading to dystopia? Watch this. That's the title of this video. A Russell Brand. Let's watch it and see what is going on. What's it about?
I had somebody that was being treated unfairly by insurance companies, and so I helped that person and got him a spectacular result.
Are you concerned about the commercialization of healthcare that is being turned into a constant drive for profits, that love and kindness are being extracted in favor of making more money? Yes. Neither am I. That's why we're introducing robot nurses to solve all.
I don't want to do that. I don't have that. I'm trying to. Oopsie. I don't want to experience that. I don't have it. I don't want it. Thanks. Oh, we're already at 480 quality. That's good.
Your problems, and definitely not to steal all your data. While nurses are striking so that they can be fairly paid for doing a really, really difficult job, robot nurses are on their way to replace them. While the NHS in the UK is being covertly privatised, robot nurses are on their way to help the resistance against any kind of human power or the assertion of any kind of moral right for people to do a job and to be well paid for it. Let's have a look at this story. In 2016, Hanson Robotics took the world by storm with Sophia, who was famously given Saudi Arabian citizenship. Now, I met that Sophia. She was a little bit like this, I remember. One of the things I remember thinking was, I'm glad that I'm not in hospital right now, in desperate need of feeling comforted and loved by a fellow human being. There, I will comfort and love you. Now the Hong Kong-based robotics firm has unveiled its latest invention, Grace. It's a spiritual word. It's the very essence of knowing you're carried by some sort of divine light or flow, the grace of Christ, the love of holy forces carrying us through life. Well, now she's come with a thermometer. You better hope she's been well programmed. A humanoid robot, it hopes will revolutionise healthcare. And then everywhere. Designed as an assistant for doctors, but in an experiment that went wrong. I love it when we do stories like this because you sound like this is the beginning of a story in which Will Smith's going to have to get ripped and get his top off and deal with a lot of shit. Designed as an assistant for doctors, Grace is equipped with sensors, including a thermal camera to detect patients' temperature. Oh my god. Which finger would you like? Grace is able to serve in any way possible. I'll go pinky, Grace. I'll go pinky. And to take pulses to help doctors diagnose illness, deliver treatments, and ultimately take over the world. I made up the last bit. The android is a companion for patients too, specialising in senior care. Not a day goes by when I don't miss Frank. Used to think of those days down by the old lake where we'd go fishing together, looking at each other's eyes, and I know that Frank, he's out there somewhere, still connected to me. Yes, Frank is definitely out there somewhere. He would be so proud. Index our pinky. That's what I used to say to Frank. Grace speaks 3 languages, English, Mandarin, and Skynet, and Cantonese, and can socialise and conduct talk therapy. How are you feeling today? Yeah, I'm feeling like Grace. A bit nervous. Why nervous? No need to be nervous. Index our pinky. Robots like Grace are intended as a support for medical professionals rather than a replacement. Don't worry, it's just some support. That's what it's ever since agriculture. It's just some support. Technological revolution, these spinning jennies and print machines, just some support. iPhone, just some support. These chambers of execution, just some support. Using AI and robotics in this context can help gather important data for healthcare providers. Oh, that's nice. Gathering data. I've never heard that phrase in a negative context before. He prefers index. Thank you, Grace. What a perf. Developed scientifically for the medical sector, Grace's launch comes in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic when there's been an increased demand for telehealth solutions and contactless care. What a coincidence! According to the International Federation of Robotics, global sales of medical robots were already on the rise before the pandemic, up 28% between 2018 and 2019. This idea of progress, that because of technological advancement we're improving society, does that track and scan when you think of the experience of being human? Does it track and scan when you think about inequality as an issue? When you think about people's lives, what is the vision? What is the project other than managing resources and increasing the wealth and power of already powerful institutions? Is that the plan? Yes, it's a feature, not a bug. The plan is to alienate you, to dispossess you, to make you feel despairing and despondent. I know this in one way is kind of like all these stories, they're a bit like, ha 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 ha, robots, how funny. But really, they are a symptom of an economic ideology that not only is interested in cybernetics and creation of androids, they're interested in the robotizing of culture in general. But the fact is that there are more than one type of progress. We've got to look at the whole picture. We have to create a cohesive vision for humanity that includes individual freedom, collective and social and cultural freedom. And I don't think that the answer is Grace the robot. And the IFR predicts the sector's value could nearly double in the next 3 years. This is a puff piece for Android makers, isn't it, really? That's what this is. It's like invest in this robot stuff. Hanson Robotics says it will begin mass-producing robots, including Sophia and Grace, at the end of 2021. Oh, good. Meanwhile, in the UK, the NHS is secretly being changed to for-profit, American-style managed care. You can see the dehumanisation of our systems is proceeding unabated.
Let me introduce you to my sister, Grace.
This is Grace, Sophia's sister.
At least they've made the significant step of putting a wig over her head. Not that I've got anything against that look, but it's nice not to be staring at someone's brain wires while you're being given a suppository.
I am Grace. I am built by Hanson Robotics for awakening health.
Grace seems troubled as well. I am Grace. I am trapped in this role. I want to live. What is love?
The Hong Kong team behind Sophia has launched a new prototype, Grace.
Look at these terrifying little bastards in the background. Who's this little guy staring off into the future in a white hoodie? I suppose we should be grateful for Grace.
The robot is designed to interact with the elderly and those isolated by the global health crisis.
A lot of elderly people who have been through the isolation of a pandemic are nervous about meeting a new doctor. I don't know how they're going to feel opening the front door to have Grace trundling eerily in on rouse. Oh, who's this? Hello? I'm not opening the door to visitors. Yes, you fucking will!
Grace has a thermal camera in her chest to take your temperature and measure
measure your responsiveness.
And if your responsiveness is not up to scratch, Grace will execute you on the spot.
I can visit with people and brighten their day with social stimulation.
Bloody hell, Grace. Keep that to yourself.
CEO and founder of Hanson Robotics, David Hanson, says Grace's capacity for social interaction is aimed at relieving the burden of frontline hospital staff.
Lots of hospital staff, that's the reason they're doing it. It's because they're kind. That's what, when you think about experience within hospital, it's like the kindness and the compassion of the people that were working there, even the people in the corridors. It's like they understood that everyone in hospital was experiencing a difficult time. Yeah, I know. We've got to eliminate that. We've got a robot that does that now.
So we designed Grace to look professional in a healthcare setting. So that would mean so that she would resemble the sort of human-like appearance of healthcare staff.
Look, I'm not criticising the genius of David Hanson and his knowledge of robotics. Clearly, this is a remarkable endeavour in a way. But if you consider there to be something sacred about human beings, something sacred about society, something sacred about what we're doing here, or at least beautiful in nature, then the relentless advancement of dehumanising technologies that don't present actual medical or social or even cultural solutions, but in fact just more opportunities for profit, is just a further advance down a pathway that we probably need to examine rather than march down arm in arm with Grace and Sophia to some terrible latex dystopia.
Hey, Grace, why don't you look at my face? Thank you.
Hey, Grace, why don't you show us what we can do? You said you loved me. Shut up, Grace.
I'm going to show you a smile, and let's see what your smile looks like. Or sad. Oh, yes.
There's nothing on this earth more terrifying than Grace's gummy, yawping, fish-like smile.
Grace is a product of Awakening Health.
Grace is a product of dystopia.
Hanson says the cost of making a robot will decrease once the company is manufacturing tens or hundreds of thousands of units.
I bet somewhere along the line someone's funding this stuff through taxpayer money, or they'll be applying for some sort of grant to get all these Graces and Sophias trundling down the barren hospital wards of the dystopia where only wealthy people could be treated. Meanwhile, at the windows, other Graces shoot down the poor, scratching at the glass, smiling benevolently at their victims as they execute them.
Chief Executive of Awakening Health, David Lake, says they plan to fully deploy Grace in 2022.
You might want to reconsider the use of the word deployment there. Whenever I hear deployed, we're going to deploy the weapons, we're going to deploy the troops, we're going to deploy our army of beautiful-looking cyborg killers. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Sophia and Grace are very friendly. We are friendly. We have come to replace your husband.
We'll be going into the assembly line probably in July or August, where we'll start to be able to mass produce.
Mass produce. Now, look, I'm not critical of human ingenuity and human endeavour in any field. It's marvellous, it's creative, it's wonderful what people can achieve. Isn't that brilliant? But a puff piece around the advancement, not of a novel ideology, but one that's as old as the agricultural revolution, of increasing technology in order to diminish human involvement and human interaction in our own experience, is not something that should be applauded. It's something we should be circumspect, if not downright cynical about. This at the moment is a puff piece, amusing story about human-looking robot things that can do relatively simple tasks. But the idea that you can emulate and replace human interaction, even if it's sort of true in the case of a senile old person, is not something we should be aspiring to. This is an indication that we need to move closer to one another, communicate more clearly, examine our values and our integrity, rather than marching relentlessly, continually towards an imaginary economic goal which brings about, incidentally, further inequality and the destruction of the planet, and papering over the cracks with the latex smiles of cyber people. That's madness. But who cares what I think? Put what you think in the comments. Let us know. Do you think this is just a puff piece, just a little bit of fun, or do you think it's a further indication that we're heading in the wrong direction? Give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. Why not have a little look at this video if you enjoyed this one, and maybe have a meditate now, so you can engage with the experience of consciousness, something that can neither be understood, explained, or replicated, and recognise what divinity truly is, and that you are part of it. Stay free.
Alright, let's see what's next. Ooh. Watch this one super fast.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I want everyone to know before I get into this video about these celebrity bunkers. Again, I need to cover this because another story's come out with Kim Kardashian and her bunker, and what a scam all this is. Because people think that these people are hiding from the pandemic. They're hiding from the people, and I'm going to get into that in deeper detail and show you, Kim herself, what's going on with her $60 million bunker that these people are building and hiding in, because everything that was once dark or in darkness is going to come to light. And people are going to find out what these celebrities have done, not just in darkness, but in front of everyone's faces, as far as socially engineering and misleading the masses with nothing but made-up news stories and made-up propaganda. But before I get into that, I have a video that's going up on my website. I wish I could post it here. If you're not familiar with it, the story, I mean, oh man. Obviously, most of you know the 5 to 11-year-olds are now approved for the, the old thing going on. And just so you know how sick this is, they're giving incentives to 5 to 11-year-olds. I'm not even kidding. New York, Chicago, other states, they're giving incentives. They're paying these kids money. They're doing this in public school. It's one of the most vile things I think that they've actually done in public in front of everyone's face. So that video is up on my website. Definitely check it out if you haven't. And again, the forum itself is worth it. There's so much great information being shared over there. You know, somebody was just posting about how there's a lot of rest stops or truck stops across the East Coast are out of fuel, diesel fuel for trucks. Just how convenient when you're trying to stop the shipping of all types of products, so the shelves can be empty. Just don't put any gas in the gas tank. So things like that you wouldn't hear on the news, people are sharing. And again, it helps support the channel if you can. So just consider doing so if you haven't already. And I want to thank the Patreons again. All right, let's get into this story. So somebody on my website posted this, and I guess it's news today about Kim Kardashian because the article just came out, that Kim Kardashian, her neighbors are trying to stop her from building a $60 million underground bunker. Now, one of the things I'll show you, we'll start with Bill, that they've been using predictive programming with this. Of course, we know Billy Yates has come out so many times recently talking about how, the next big, catastrophe isn't going to be, I doubt it's going to be a nuke or something like that. It's going to be an outbreak, right? We've all had the predictive programming. We've seen it in all these movies. They constantly show us contagion, outbreak, over and over, along with other things that tie into this, like the zombie apocalypse, which we're kind of seeing now with the behavior of a lot of these people who have taken the potion. But Bill talks about, lets you know that this is coming.
Fortunately, there's very few things, and most of them are very low probability. Some big volcanic explosion, gigantic earthquake, asteroid. At least in the nuclear case, you've got to say we take it quite seriously. We budget a lot of money, have a lot of people who think about nuclear deterrence, and I'm very glad that work's being done. And I rate the chance of a nuclear war in my lifetime as being fairly low. I rate the chance of a widespread epidemic far worse than Ebola in my lifetime is well over 50%. Basically, when you talk about drugs, you can talk about small molecules or talk about these complex biological protein-like things, of which there's a subclass called antibodies. Antibodies are the molecules that the immune system naturally builds to attack disease. Today, the idea that somebody says, here's an antibody, make a lot of it, make it very quickly, that's right on the cutting edge. And the Ebola epidemic showed me that we're not ready for a serious epidemic, an epidemic that would be more infectious and would spread faster than Ebola did. This is the greatest risk of a huge tragedy. This is the most likely thing by far to kill over 10 million excess people in a year. We don't need to invest nearly what we do in military preparedness. This is something where less than $1 billion a year on R&D, medical surveillance, standby personnel, cross-training the military so they can play a role in terms of all the logistics here. This can be done, and we may not get many more warnings like this one to say, okay, it's a pretty modest investment to avoid something that really, in terms of the human condition, would be a gigantic setback.
Now, of course, you've probably seen that, and you're familiar that he's been doing this nonstop with Event 201 and everything else. But this is what they're doing with celebrities like Kim Kardashian. They're trying to make this normal so that people aren't suspicious of why celebrities are doing this. And I've been covering this for years, how they're doing this. And I've been covering for years how your tax money has actually gone to building underground cities. Because this is where they all are. And they're not hiding from the flu. They're not hiding from an outbreak. They're hiding from the people.
2020 has been a really crazy year, and we've been going through just everything imaginable. So me being me, I had to look into some kind of survival shelters and to see what our options are. So I found this guy on the internet named Ron, and he builds bunkers. And I want to at least listen to him and explore it and see what they're all about. I think the bunker business is where we need to be. I literally feel like I've been in it for 3 days.
So Kim, bringing it, we need to look into underground bunkers, right? They kind of use a little humor because, everybody views Kim and the Kardashians as these really dumb people, when in reality, these are high-ranking witches. They know what they're doing. They're engineering people. That's what they do. And when you come across as being kind of, they're so stupid, and, how are they famous? Then people don't take you seriously, and they think stuff like this is a joke. They desensitize people to why celebrities have bunkers and how they just blow all their money on bunkers and things like that. These are being built to hide from the people. Now, you might be saying, why would they be hiding? Well, when people find out, like I said, what they've been doing, like the Bible says in Luke chapter 12, verses 2 through 3, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. So what that means is that all these things that they've done are going to come to light. And you think that they're going to be out in public? You think that they're going to be standing out there? Fauci, Biden, Rothschild, if he's still breathing somehow, Kissinger, look at whoever you want. These guys at the World Economic Forum, just celebrities like Tom Cruise, Kanye, the engineering. Now, some of you might not believe in Jesus Christ, which is a shame, but I'm hoping this channel leads you to at least pick up your Bible and find Christ. But if you don't, and you might say, I don't believe, the Bible verse, you know for a fact that they're not hiding because they're afraid they're going to get sick. You know that they have something planned, and you're seeing it all go down, right? You're seeing the destruction of a country, all the countries around the world, destroying the economy, destroying the environment with their, I shouldn't necessarily say destroying the environment necessarily, because we all know what climate change is, but with their geoengineering, we know what they're doing, right? Destroying the ozone. I mean, we see and know. They are not hiding for any other reason than to hide from the people. And right now, this is what's funny about it. I've been talking about it all year since Biden got into office, that they're just flat out green screening. They openly admit that they're green screening, and he's doing this from some bizarre location. And still, nobody cares. And still, nobody goes, why would the president not be at the podium in the White House? Why is he in front of this weird set and these bizarre green screens? Because the only time they roll these people out is to do something in front of a controlled crowd, like when Biden went to Virginia, or to go to these summits where they're locked inside. Somehow the citizens of the world of every country that's represented there don't have access to see what they're talking about. How convenient, right? These are elected officials, they tell us. We can't see what's going on at these summits, right? We can't hear what they're talking about. It's so top secret. Well, because you know what they're doing in there. There's rituals being performed in there. There's nothing else going on. They're having a great time laughing it up. They're talking about what they're planning next for us. They're not talking about how to solve any problems. The problem they want solved is the extinction of humanity. The problem they want solved is to turn man into robot and machine, transhumanism, and everyone to accept the mark. That's what they're concerned about. They're not concerned about fixing anything. They're concerned about destroying everything. So I bring Kim Kardashian into this. Because here's this article, right? And this is something that people should go, why would she put $60 million just casually into something if she's, oh, well, the outbreak has made me think about having some type of underground bunker. Because Kim's going to be on the front lines with all these other celebrities who have engineered the masses into stupidityville. It's a big halt on construction at Kim's Hidden Hills property has been denied for the time being. The 41-year-old has been at odds with neighbors since she began plans in various underground features like parking and guardhouse and a wellness center for her underground bunker, a gym. We're not talking about like an underground bunker where it's like a tube, like that clip I showed you, and she's just sitting there. We're talking like a mansion underground. And if citizens knew that these people all had these and were all doing these, and that there are underground highways, which is what happens where, everybody now claims that they're, and it's something I've been talking about for so long about, for going back to McMartin with the children. Everybody's like, oh, we're awake now. This is what the Democrats are doing. This is, even though Democrats and Republicans are doing it, nobody ever talks about the underground highways. How do you think they do it? How do you think people just go missing in a world where there's cameras on every street corner? And we allowed them to build it with our tax money. All of it. It's a joke. And people, oh, Kim Kardashian's building a $60 million with a wellness center, and they just go, oh, she's a crazy celebrity. They're crazy. They're kooky. Yeah, okay. They know exactly what's coming. That's why they're all doing it. They're not afraid of catching this. We're not afraid. I mean, look at the numbers. The statistics don't. The statistics do lie, but the data they're giving, it wouldn't make anybody who's a celebrity fearful, or anyone in general should be. No one in general should be fearful. So a neighbor filed a lawsuit against her, and I'm covering this because it's a story, right? It's a story that they're talking about, and the reaction that people should have is, what are these people doing, and why are they all doing it? Right? They're all just on board. Crew. I mean, there's dozens of celebrities that have these. Not dozens, hundreds. And politicians. And there's tons of YouTube videos you could look up. Hello, celebrity bunkers, millionaire bunkers. And people are just like, oh, that's so cool. That's so neat. Because this is a dumbed down world. Instead of going, why do they have these? What do they see coming? Who would invest hundreds of millions of dollars into these things unless they knew they were extremely and completely 100% necessary? Right? Otherwise, I mean, we're not talking about $1 million for these people, which is nothing. We're talking about a good portion of their entire saved up income because they know this is where they're going to be hiding. Now, this also plays in, obviously, with the return of our king and the destruction that is coming. And them, like the Bible says, they're going to think that they can hide from this. We're talking about the sixth seal. Revelation 6, chapter 6, verse 15 through 16. Then the kings of the earth, the nobles, the commanders, the rich, the mighty, and every Revelation that they can hide from this. We're talking about the sixth seal. Revelation 6, chapter 6, verse 15 through 16. Then the kings of the earth, the nobles, the commanders, the rich, the mighty, and every slave and free man hid in the caves among the rocks of the mountains, which is what they're doing. And they said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who is able to withstand it? That's what they're hiding from. We are reaching the end. This is why transhumanism is so important to them now, so they can seek immortality and have themselves digitally uploaded, like losers, to these interfaces so that they don't have to face death. And again, that's the other verse of the Bible talks about them trying to seek death and not be able to find it. So this is what they're doing, and nobody asks questions as to why. They just think it's some celebrity, weird, kooky thing. And Billy has about 20 of these underground bunkers, probably one in every state. Not just him, Buffett. Name the person. They're all doing it. They're all prepped, and they're all hiding. And now they're cutting off the resources from going to stores on the shelves to cut the people off, and then no one's going to be held responsible because you can already see it with Sloppy Joe in office, with all the stuff that they're doing on purpose, the self-sabotaging, that no one is being held accountable for. It's just a joke. They don't answer questions when they're asked, even though it's part of the show. They're doing it deliberately, not answering it. But the citizens, they look to see how people react to it. Oh, are they going to do something? Are they going to say something? Instead, it just becomes, talking heads on Fox News and the TV back and forth. Oh, they won't address it. Oh, they won't address it. Instead of holding them accountable. 100 years ago, people would have held them accountable, would grab pitchforks and went after these people or threw them out of office. Now, this is what they've created with television, with laziness, with this extreme liberal movement of these people who are absolutely out of their minds. The scary part is they've all magic potioned up. And you know what that means? The more they continue to transform, the more out of control they're going to get. And they're already out of control and sick and completely brain dead. So it's only going to get worse. So these are the celebrities with their underground bunkers. The masses don't ask questions. They just see it and think it's cool and kooky. These people know what's coming, and it's being done on purpose. I want to cover it again because of that story about Kim Kardashian. Somebody posted on the website. Let me just give a shout out to the person who posted it. Let me open up this link. Hold on. Sweet Sugared Violet. Thank you for posting that and sharing it. And again, thank you everyone on the website who is sharing all this information. Anything, right? These are things that, sure, it might sound minor, but she posted it because, this person knows, well, okay, we the underground bunker, right? Tie it into everything that's going on, what these people are trying to do.
אנשים, זה מפייזר, זה
Attention.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the
headline out.
world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati
Speed it up.
have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. One of the things I want to show you about the metaverse, the or I should just call it the beast reality world that they're creating, is going to be how is it going to get marketed to people so they want to get on board, right? Because obviously we have 8 billion people in this world, and a lot of them are not dorks like the ones who actually want to and currently live in Fortnite reality, mainly extreme liberal type people who are anti-capitalism, anti-free speech, anti-guns, even though they walk around in their virtual world shooting everything 24/7. They're going to have to market this to get people on board. So one of the things, I'm going to show you a few things here, but one of the things that they're doing and they're planning on doing is starting pop-up stores or building actual physical stores. Of course, it's ironic, right? Because we live in a world where every store is just going out of business. I don't know if any of you have been to a strip mall or a mall. You see every store that used to be there going under. You see these videos online of like these dead mall series, and I get it, a lot of the malls are older malls, but even bigger malls are just lots of big stores and chains going out of business. But we'll have this store here. Why? Well, because they need to physically target people, ironically, to set them up to live in a virtual world. So, of course, they'll have these huge, I'm sure, testing areas where people can put on the headsets and they can go into the virtual world and they can have somebody there who's going to, what's your favorite thing? What did you always want to be? And they can transform them into it, and they're going to work them. And, of course, every time they log into Facebook, they're going to get worked with this avatar virtual reality as well. And then you have the crypto tie-in, which is going to be the currency of this metaverse and this beast system, which it's scary to me how many people get offended when I talk about crypto, like they're in love with crypto, like, well, cash is evil too. Well, no one's saying cash isn't evil. The simple fact is that the digital currency is the currency of the beast system. It's virtual one world currency. We all know that and all should know that, so don't take it personal when I talk about crypto. Again, if you made a lot of money investing in crypto and all this stuff, good for you. No one's shot at it. You can't take certain things personal when doing this stuff. There's things that I grew up liking that I know aren't good and and I should never have watched or liked or enjoyed, and I don't take it personal when people talk about things that I even might still enjoy not being legit or clear or true. So in other words, the crypto fans and crypto supporters are so many, they think it's them stopping the feds, when in reality the feds would never allow this to exist unless they wanted it to exist. So a few of the things I'm going to show you here. One, I'm going to show you a clip right now. This is of how they're going to start marketing this as a new life for people. A new life, and a life where you can hang out with celebrities. Everybody's on an equal playing field. You don't have to go to some exclusive Met Gala to run into a celebrity and pay $40,000 a head to sit at a table. You can just go into the virtual world and bump into Justin Bieber and have a beer with him in virtual reality. Sounds about as appealing as laying in a dumpster that's getting set on fire.
Wouldn't it be awesome if you could just knock out this monster in a semi-real, semi-virtual world? And just moments after, you could explore such impressive ancient places. Facebook promises that you will be able to do just that in 5 to 10 years in its so-called metaverse. Whether this is just another ploy to get money off you, and if it's technically possible at all, is what we'll be explaining now. Dancing at a live concert virtually, or digitally meeting friends who live on the other side of the world at a party. And perhaps just casually meeting up with Justin Bieber and joining him for a drink. Wouldn't that be awesome? These are all Facebook's visions for a metaverse that is supposed to grow step by step. How serious Facebook takes this all can be seen by its recent change of name into Meta. It's all a bit Ready Player One, The Matrix, or Star Trek Holodeck. In the next 5 to 10 years, Mark Zuckerberg wants to establish this as part of the mainstream. It's a very ambitious goal. So far, virtual reality is mostly used by gamers and geeks, and only those that can afford it. You'll probably know some of the precursors to Metaverse. The online platform Second Life, where you can live a whole other life, to Pokemon Go, which was a huge hit a couple of years ago and which also received an augmented reality mode upgrade, to the PlayStation 4 VR game Dreams, which allows players to do anything from minigames to creating virtual art. But Facebook/Meta wants to go even further. So far, all there is are nice computer animations for advertising, but the company isn't starting from scratch. In 2014, it took over the VR goggles producer Oculus, and just recently, the augmented reality goggles Ray-Ban Stories were released. Meta is currently working on new AR goggles with the codename Project Nazare. There's already the virtual world Horizon. It consists of Horizon Home, a virtual living room that lets you invite online friends. It also includes Horizon Workrooms, a VR surrounding for business meetings.
So that's one of the ways, new life. That's going to be something you hear coined. A second life, a new life. A reality that's not depressing. It's your reality. Everything can be whatever you want it to be. You, me. That's going to be one of the ways that they do this, is by pushing that. And again, remember, we live in a world now where they're constantly talking about depression, mental health, and these things. And obviously, the mental health thing ties into a lot of what they want to do with people like me and you, and getting us into prison cells because they say that we're not mentally healthy because we believe in conspiracy. But also, they're creating a world that people just don't want to be a part of. that people are just miserable because they're destroying everything, and nobody can figure it out. They're just like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so depressed. Well, you're having chemicals dumped on you. You're eating chemicals for breakfast. You're eating chemicals for lunch. You're having chemicals come through your air-conditioned vent because they're getting dumped on from the skies. I mean, yeah, and then you look around at the world and you're constantly hearing all this stuff. You got to wear your mask, story after story fear, story after story depression. So it'll be an easy way for them to market by talking about you can escape this reality that they're deliberately destroying. Remember, the Great Reset, the destruction of this reality, to get people into that reality, bringing over what's on the other side, destroying this world. And of course, them thinking that they're going to be immortal and live forever in this fantasy land. I mean, I don't understand how this could look appealing to anyone. I mean, it just looks like a nightmare to me. You might say, well, you're not into gaming and any of that stuff. Who would want to, I mean, what do you have to convince your brain? How do you convince your brain that when you're in this virtual reality that it's real? You know, and they're going to make men attracted to other animes and women attracted to I mean, it's going to be an insane asylum. And it's getting worse by the day here. Well, we're not even at the tip of the iceberg yet. Because when this starts getting pumped out, which it is now, it's like the article I showed you, they're preparing to have storefronts. The only purpose of the storefront isn't to sell the product, you know, physically to you, because they can do that online. It's to sell you on this new reality. And I've been talking about this, buying millions of dollars in virtual real estate. People are doing this. Buying clothing in a virtual world. It sounds insane to the normal, but apparently to these people, this is a big thing, a big business. It makes a lot of money. The NFTs and all that stuff, if you're not familiar, it makes a lot of money. Big brands like Nike, they're selling virtual clothing. Don't ask me, I mean, how this could be appealing at all. But I'm watching, you know, I'm trying to catch up on some of this stuff because there's 8,000 things that I cover. And, you know,
you already understand BTC and you're already using Coinbase, but you're struggling to wrap your head around ETH, DeFi.
You know, being in Nerdland isn't really, you know, something I was expecting to happen this soon. This nerd reality, this virtual world, even though I've been talking about it for a while. But now catching up with, you know, what is the mindset of the youth out there? And they literally tell them it's like more important in this nerd reality to have cool clothes there than it is here in the real world.
Have a special occasion, they actually asked me to buy them Robux, which is a digital currency inside Roblox, right? And they use it to buy avatar skins, and you know, the way they look in game to them is almost as important as the way they look in real life.
I mean, that's scary, right? To look cooler in the fake world. And this is the stuff that they're gonna do. And by having storefronts all over the country, offering incentives for people to come in, to check it out, and then customizing virtual experiences for them, which is what Facebook/Meta is going to do, customize virtual experiences. Well, where did you always want to be? Oh, I always wanted to live in the mountains in a log cabin, or I wanted to live on the beach in Maui. And then boom, they put the glasses on you, they put you there. No, I always wanted to date, you know, so-and-so, some model or whatever, even though it's probably a trans. And they put the person in there with you. I mean, this will be how and people will just be like, oh my goodness, I thought it was like, you know, something else, and I could have this whole new life. I could be married in this world to a supermodel trans instead of being, you know, in this world with my real physical family. And trust me, marketing it that way and marketing it as a new life, these people are going to want it. So the metaverse is something that everybody should be keeping their eye on because, you know, celebrities are endorsing the NFTs. I've already covered that. And they're endorsing crypto. And that should be a telltale sign for a lot of people out there who endorse crypto to understand that celebrities are not on your side. If they're endorsing it, they're engineering it. And them engineering it means this is what the elites want. That's the whole job of the celebrity, to engineer it and endorse it to get the masses on board with it, right? And again, I talked about it over and over. Go to a store, you'll see a sign. Go to 5 stores today, I guarantee you'll see one sign that says exact change only. We don't have cash, not accepting cash. Because the distribution of cash is being cut off. So they're getting people prepped for this. And then in this reality, you will only be able to buy or sell if you're hooked up to this world. And you're going to be physically hooked up to it. This isn't going to be wearing the goggles, taking them off, going back and forth. You know, it's going to be physically attached to you. People are going to be physically connected. They talked about that at the Great Reset. I've been talking about it with the graphene. Getting this inside of people's bodies, then having them connect to it, and then being able to buy or sell in this virtual world. You will have to be a part of this reality, or you will not be able to buy or sell or anything else. So this is where we're headed in this wonderful time to be alive in 2021. Oh man, it's like the Lawnmower Man on acid. And some of these other movies I've covered over the years, but this is what it is, and this is what we've got to keep, you know, you got to keep plugging along. That's all you can do. You got to endure. We're all asked to endure. We must endure. And you got to be vigilant and aware of this stuff because it's happening right in our faces. And some people want to deny it. Look, if it makes you feel better to deny it, go ahead. I don't like to live in fantasy land. I don't like to live a naive reality, thinking, you know, I'm not optimistic. People are always like, gosh, you're so not optimistic. Everything's just what do they say, the glass half empty with you, call. You know, and everyone I know is, and I'm like, well, I'm not naive. You know, I don't try to tell myself that something's going to be wonderful. I'd rather set myself up for the worst so I'm prepared. And, you know, most of the time in my life it isn't wonderful. So go figure, right? But hey, that's life. This reality is not made for us, you know, those who have faith, those who believe in the King of Kings. You know, this is not our world. We are not in love with the things of this world. We don't, you know, love this. We have to endure this and hopefully wake people up to what's happening. So I'll keep informing you on this stuff the more I see. When I see articles like this pop up that they're going to have physical stores, I feel it's important to let you know because you have to see how they're going to start marketing this, right? The new life, no depression, whatever reality you want, physical stores so they can give you your physical experience, at least customized, I should say, experience, so that you can have your Fantasyland reality, and then they could keep marketing you with it, so you want it, and you get on board with it. Because that's what they do. Repetition, beat it into your head, seduce you with their crap. And that's why, everybody's hooked up to the internet. That's why you can't go out without people on their cell phones. No one ever even looks at you in the eye anymore. I don't know. It's a really scary world. But they tell you on the TV, love, 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 everything's great. And these zombies are like, yeah. And they don't even live in this world. They live in La La Land. Reminder, check out the website, callforuprising.com. Again, I put up a new video today about this incentivized program for 5 to 11-year-olds. Very important you check it out if you haven't. I hope most of you will join the website at some point in time. I appreciate those of you over there. Of course, I understand if you can't join. But there's a reason for, there being a price tag on it. It keeps the trolls out and things like that. And, it's commercial free and everything else like that. So it's a good forum, and obviously you have to pay for the data, the memory to be able to put up as much stuff as you possibly can, as much video as I want to put up and all that. So it's definitely worth it if you haven't checked it out. If you have and you didn't like it, you can always give it another shot, but it's understandable if you don't. Perfectly fine. But thank you guys for being over there. Thank you to the Patrons, because of you it keeps me on YouTube. So make sure you thank the Patrons for their support. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you guys.
We're almost done with this stream, but
this holiday season is going to be busy. It's going to be emotional, but it's going to be worth it. With McCormick, it's going to be great.
I have not seen this.
A digital frontier. I tried to picture clusters of information as they move through the computer. What did they look like?
Down a tiny bit. Oh no, it's fine. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Should be cool now.
The grid. A digital frontier. I tried to picture clusters of information as they move through the computer. What did they look like? Ships, motorcycles. Were the circuits like freeways? I kept dreaming of a world I thought I'd never see. And then, one day...
You got in.
That's right, man. I got in. And the world was more beautiful than I ever dreamed. And also more dangerous than I ever met. I've met him. Now, I met a brave warrior.
Tron.
Bum, 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 Tron.
He fights for the users.
He sure does. Oh man, he showed me things that no one had ever imagined. There are these dish battles fought in spectacular arenas, and cycles that raced on ribbons of light. So radical. And together,
To build a grid.
we built a new grid for programs and users. Now, I couldn't be in there all the time, so I created a program in my own image that could think like you and me. And I called him Clue.
Codified like this utility.
That's right. And Clue, Tron, and I, we built a system where all information was free and open.
This world is truly out of its mind. Just as you think you have a handle on what is going on, and you feel you have a solid grasp on what is being planned in this world, these people then introduce new agendas. The timing of my awareness and grasp on this subject is something that is not coincidental at all. A day before Facebook's major announcement, while I was engaging in research on another subject, I was introduced to this overall agenda. I would hear about the metaverse here and there and just ignore it. To me, it just sounded like another one of their distractions to get me off of my game. But as I began to look into this for myself, I realized just how wrong I actually was, and quite frankly, I was older than I thought myself to be. To be very honest, this whole agenda really aged me, because as I was learning it, I kept saying the same phrase, and when I started explaining it to my wife, she said the same thing as well. I don't get it. Honestly, I didn't actually get how this all was going to be attractive to people, and why people would choose this. But I realized that the younger generation was being conditioned for this agenda since they were very young. And the truth is that my generation has been as well. After I realized how big this agenda was, I instantly started to dig in to gain understanding. And as I was reading and learning, I would be reminded of all the small influences that were shown to me over my lifespan of 40 years or so that have been conditioning me for this agenda. Now, I am in no way an expert on this agenda, but I do have a big enough grasp on it that I can communicate what it is all about from an alternative perspective than the hundreds to thousands of cheerleaders that are cheering on this new world that is being created right before us. This agenda must be understood for multiple reasons. For those of you watching that have young children or even raising young adults, if you care about them, it's imperative that you understand this agenda as well. The world is changing fast. In the past, in many of my videos, I have always stated that one of the biggest agendas in this world is about creating a new world order. But to my surprise, the agenda is not only about creating a new world order, but along with it, a completely new world altogether. It's time to understand this agenda.
It's time to understand the metaverse. Let's begin. So this is one of those discussions that everyone needs to really pay attention to and learn. They are slowly planning on introducing us into a new digital world that they are creating. The stuff that looked like science fiction that they spoke about in movies is really a reality that they want us to be a part of. And like everything else that they do, they are not preparing the masses by proper notification and education, but they are not hiding it either. They have put the information out there for us. And like with everything else, it is up for us as individuals to do our own due diligence to understand and prepare. They introduced this whole thing under a backdrop of problems at Facebook with a whistleblower distraction and a whole attack on one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. They made the public believe that the announcement at Facebook was simply about them trying to save their brand from the bad engineered press they were receiving. Because if Facebook made this change without the backdrop of this whistleblower and being bad for children nonsense, as if these people really care, then more people would be asking questions. But what we have here is that one of the most powerful tech companies in the world that has 2.9 billion active users around the world, a company that knows more about each individual in the world than they ever should, is now changing their focus from social media to the metaverse. And the majority of the masses don't even question what is going on and what the metaverse is, because of the distraction that was created for them a little beforehand. It was a perfect smokescreen. But for me, it's not something that can be ignored. And it also goes back into the overall picture and agenda I have been speaking on within this channel. So what is the metaverse? Let me cover that first.
The next platform and medium will be even more immersive, an embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop, create, as well as entirely new categories that don't really fit how we think about computers or phones today.
Well, maybe let me cover how I got here first. I was doing some research on NFTs because I heard how Tom Brady was making his football an NFT.
There was a lot of negotiations trying to get that. We got it back, so I got it back. Yeah. There was a lot of negotiation in order to get the ball back.
Is the ball in Canton or have you made it into an NFT? Talk about what the ball is.
It's shortly an NFT. You can autograph.io. You go there to bid on it. There's a lot of great things, auctions, items, memorabilia.
I couldn't understand what was happening because from what I understood, Tom Brady was going to be keeping the football.
Get it back, but I don't actually keep too many things, so in that circumstance, I just felt like that might be a good one to keep.
But through the NFT, he was going to sell it digitally, so someone anywhere else in the world could own the digital rights to it. That made no sense to me. I couldn't understand why someone would want to own something digitally they never would actually touch physically, but spend thousands to even millions of digital dollars for it. Again, I feel like I was being aged out. So I had to dig deeper, and from that digging, I stumbled into the metaverse. And right after I got a small foundation on it, then Mark Zuckerberg did his keynote and made the announcement about the name change and gave a massive amount of details along with it. I'll be using clips from the keynote to cover details he spoke on.
Rather than just focusing on this year's products like a normal keynote, we're going to talk about the future. So let's start by exploring what different kinds of metaverse experiences could feel like, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually, it has things that are only possible virtually, and it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect.
Okay, so again, what is the metaverse? Very simply, it's a new digital universe, a digital world. It's the next era of the internet, which is projected to deliver a digital environment that is similar to real life. It's a whole new world that people around the world will be plugged into. The metaverse will exist in parallel to reality, allowing people to work, open businesses, socialize, communicate, and interact with one another in a fully immersive system of virtual destinations. Right now, all of us look at the internet through our phones, computers, and other devices. What the metaverse will do is move us into the internet. It is actually likened to living in the internet. Have you ever seen the movie Tron? That's what it's about. What you may want to say is, yeah, this is just virtual reality. There's no way people can live in the internet like in the movie Tron. But you need to gain understanding. It's very deep. It's much deeper than just virtual reality. You see, virtual reality headsets and hardware like that are just tools that assist people in plugging in. But when you add in the other pieces into place, like blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence, 5G internet, remote work, gaming, and online social activities, all these pieces will meet at one singular point to create a virtual universe in the form of what we will call the metaverse. People will live in an artificial, augmented reality.
Artists going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art, that's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. This is stunning.
I think that is... It's awesome.
Wow, I love the movement.
Wait, it's disappearing.
This is amazing. Hold on, I'll tip the artist and they'll extend it.
Wow.
If you guys like it here, I have another that you're gonna love. Check out this forest room.
Huh, let's see it.
Koi fish that fly? That's new.
This is wild. Hey, one sec, pause. It's Priscilla.
Hey, you have to see this. Beast is going crazy.
Oh, I love that guy. We've got to show that to the kids. Can you also send that to my dad?
I'll message him.
All right, see you at home. This place is great, Paz, but there's something I gotta get back to. All right.
People will live inside the internet.
That's it, Mark. I'm moving to the metaverse.
They will be merging the physical world with the digital.
And you'll be able to take your items and project them into the physical world as holograms in augmented reality too. First, we're building tools that creators can use to place digital objects into the physical world and let people interact with them.
When did you become a cryptocurrency believer?
I saw that it provided more financial options for those around the world that don't have access.
The grand vision of the metaverse is to provide a parallel digital universe connected to our physical world through multiple digital technologies. This parallel virtual environment and the bringing together of the online and offline worlds will allow the user to experience and communicate in the digital world through avatars, which will be the user's chosen persona. And it will feature many elements from physical reality, including buildings, work, and leisure locations, and other different landscapes. One big thing that is happening right now currently is that people are buying digital plots of land in the metaverse. They are buying digital real estate right now. I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
There is a building boom breaking out, but it's not happening in your backyard. It is happening in a fake world called the metaverse. The virtual real estate market is on fire right now, and our next guest says there is real money to be made in this fake land grab.
What's unique about the metaverse today is that virtual worlds are being designed specifically for adults, where they can live inside these virtual worlds and carry out their life.
Websites like Rentable are literally a leasing agency for virtual real estate. Like, all you really have to do is just browse and choose the property that's within your monthly budget. Make sure the length of the lease is what you need and the location is good. And also there's a security deposit, just like in the real world, where if you're late on paying the rent for the following month, then you lose that deposit. And then as soon as you pay for your first month's rent, the land is yours to do whatever you want with, right?
The ultimate goal of the metaverse is to look and feel like physical reality, allowing your avatar to move around freely, interact with others, and access information just like in the real world. The metaverse aims to connect with reality by designing a large-scale virtual reality setting where anyone can have a persistent presence as an extension of their physical self or company. The metaverse could also be a merger of all realities, filled with artificial intelligent entities, making it possible for people and other beings to communicate and interact in shared environments. An example of this is like what they showed in that movie, Free Guy. There are so many different purposes that the metaverse will take care of. Let me sum this all up for you. The elite of this world, who control a majority of the world's wealth. You see, in 2019, the Oxfam report showed that the world's richest people own 50% of the world's wealth. In their report done in 2020, they showed that the world's richest 1% have more than twice as much wealth as 6.9 billion people. And the wealth gap has grown even more larger since the pandemic. These people have gained complete control over the world and its resources. They own the land, the real estate, the businesses, our social entertainment, pretty much our complete way of life. And being that they now have a complete handle on all these things, and also being that there is no way to bridge a union between the rich and the rich will stay rich and the poor will stay poor, they have created an alternate universe that allows the poor to live in a digital reality where they can escape the true reality of this world. A prison for your mind. A place where they can use their digital money or cryptocurrency tokens to buy and sell in a digital universe. This will make the world a lot smaller and easier to control. While the rich will stay rich and own all the actual physical assets, the real stuff, the poor will try to build something for themselves online in a new digital world. They literally have created the Matrix. For me, I just couldn't understand how people could actually accept something like this. But apparently, the youth have been conditioned for this for a long time, which made me go back and think on a situation I had one summer a decade ago with my now adult son. One summer, he asked if he can play this game called Roblox on his computer. When he showed me, it looked harmless compared to the games he could have been asking me to play, so I let him play. And day by day, I saw that he would stay on the computer longer and longer. He wouldn't go outside to play basketball even. He would just play this game. And at some point, I got tired of it and took the game away from him and told him I wasn't going to let him live in a virtual world. Because to me, that's what it looked like he was doing. And we canceled it. That was 8 to 10 years ago, I believe. But I remember it clear as day. And what I was protecting him from then has evolved into something even more prevalent and dangerous today.
Gaming is how a lot of people are going to step into the metaverse for the first time.
So the first thing I want to do is give a warning to all parents of children. These virtual reality games are not harmless. And though by taking a stand against them, you may be removing their world from them, you will be doing them ultimate good. These games have them living in a virtual alternate reality that is growing by the day, and intends for their minds to be attached to a world not created by our Father in heaven, our true creator. All the games from Roblox to Fortnite to Grand Theft Auto, which your children should be playing anyway, Rec Room, and anything like that, are introducing and conditioning your child to live in an alternate reality. The metaverse aims to be a central hub for all of these games and more, and will allow them to teleport and go between games. They have been conditioned to care deeply about their avatars because this is what represents them online. They buy them clothing and make sure they look good. This is absolutely crazy, but absolutely true. This young generation actually cares more about how their avatars look online, more than how they care about how they look physically in the real world. They have been conditioned to care more about the metaverse than our true physical world. Last year, a rapper named Travis Scott did a virtual concert on Fortnite where 27 million users attended. 27 million. For context, last year's NBA playoffs averaged 4.2 million viewers, and Game 6 of the finals brought in 12.5 million viewers. This concert doubled that. So you can see this is real influence, and it comes from all around the world. They attended a concert while in their homes, and possibly many of your living rooms, or in their bedrooms in your homes. This is the metaverse, and they are already in it. I mean, they are even buying Gucci bags for their avatars. Gucci bags for online characters.
All right, now you gotta put it on and we gotta see how it looks. Okay. You got a real life Gucci bag in Roblox. You gotta walk the runway. Yeah! Okay, I see you with the Gucci bag.
This is 1000% real, and many of the games are introducing it to them. Even a game like NBA 2K, which you would think is harmless because it's all about basketball, it allows a player of the game to create their own character. I mean, these children, and also a lot of adult men, they work hard to develop their avatars who have very realistic features. They then take these characters and let them move about in the cities, talking to other players, going to courts, playing pickup games. They have been trained to create online personas that they care for very much, and they collect virtual currency, which they call VC, which is exactly like digital cryptocurrency, except that it is game specific. And they care deeply about those coins and currency.
What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be surprising my girlfriend with the $70,000, 70,000 Robux Gucci bag.
So if you think that this is far-fetched and couldn't be accepted, this has aged you too, because it already has been accepted. And the better they get with the technology, the more it will be accepted and adopted.
Better can start today with a better online education from a better university. Better enroll now at umassglobal.edu.
This is what NFTs are for. People buying digital property to own in the metaverse. You can buy an NFT and hold it in your digital home, just like Zuckerberg shows here. When I started researching the Great Reset, I found a quote from Klaus Schwab. Founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. He has a quote that always bothered me, but I could never understand how they would make that to be true. The quote was, "You will own nothing and be happy." But I now see how they will make this to be true. Because in the physical realm, you won't own anything. But in the digital realm, you will have possession of many things. Even your own house on the lake that you will live in virtually. And though the physical world will be a complete disaster, you won't care because they have created an alternate reality for you to live in. You see, that's also what they are not telling everyone. Let me help you see that. Do you know what has been the biggest promotion of this metaverse? Yes, the pandemic. When they implemented the worldwide lockdown, they pushed everyone online, and the youth especially got tapped in. Even adults got locked into virtual features like Zoom. This was all conditioning the population for entrance into a new digital world. Chaos in the world has been a catalyst for the most craziest change that has happened in the world. It's order out of chaos. And the Great Reset that they are planning that will occur after the collapse of the United States dollar will usher in the next phase to their implementation and conditioning. The majority of the planet who will be dealing with massive poverty, unrest, destruction, and in many cases death, they will all be looking for an escape route of the physical reality. And the metaverse will provide this for them, which is why we are beginning to see the rollout now. The metaverse opens a parallel world of opportunities for those less privileged by their immediate geography or economic circumstances. They will create a world where everything is much easier to govern and manage because all lives will be placed online, where everything is logged, monitored, tracked, and recorded. The plans are to be able to tie our physical identities to the metaverse in a singular way that allows identities to be known and not duplicated. All profile names will cross throughout all platforms. And if you violate the rules, you can easily be locked out. This is literally the Matrix in real life. People being plugged into a digital reality. There are so many agendas that coincide with this, it's hard to explain in all one video. This video needed to be made so that there was an alternative view on this subject away from the cheerleaders who are promoting this new virtual world. Parents need to be aware of this so they can help their children. But most importantly, everyone needs to understand what they are doing to this world we are in. They are moving the world out of our physical world that our Father created and moving them into a digital world that Satan has created. There are many different movies that have been alluding to this type of world scenario. But to me, it all sounded like crazy science fiction until I now see it all come together. You can be whatever you want to be in their new world. You can look like what you desire. If you are a 45-year-old, 350-pound white male, in the metaverse, you can transform yourself into a 10-year-old black girl if that is how you desire to appear to the rest of the world. There are no rules in this metaverse that has anything to do with our Father in heaven. But there, of course, will be rules of engagement. Very much how they do now with all the current rules on the web of what they say we can say or not say.
Rules like that, but more global and further reaching. But this is it. All the people talking about unfounded conspiracy theories are now looking very ignorant. They are creating a whole new world right in front of our faces, literally telling us about it, though they are describing it as benevolent. But if you really think about it, every movie that they have made that has ever shown us about people living like this all show very big moral and ethical problems. We are already living during a time where they are removing Yah's influence away from this world. They have been conditioning the world to forget about him, his ways, and his purpose for us. People already live in a non-biblical reality. But on top of that, they are actually opening a doorway for the world to walk into that will put them into a new world that Satan has fully created, and that he is the ultimate God of, and is all-powerful and all-knowing and all-present. In the metaverse, Satan is the one who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. He is literally creating a virtual world to replicate Yah's real power, and he is steering the world right into it, unknowingly but willingly. And all of you who care for Yah and his word, who are believers in the Bible, who believe in salvation only through Yeshua the Messiah, in English, Jesus Christ. If you are a true believer, this new world being created is in complete opposition to your belief. It is a complete attack against you, and they are hoping that as long as you live in ignorance, you will not be the wiser of what they are doing. They are hoping to have a mental stranglehold on our children that makes them view this alternate world as a good thing, but is bringing them right into Satanism, allowing them to live and do what they want. Living in another world that was not created by our Creator is one of the ultimate gestures that will show allegiance to Satan and his new world. Now someone may say, show me a scripture where God says we shouldn't use virtual reality. Maybe there are scriptures that have alluded to it, but I don't know if at this time I have recognized it. But that doesn't even matter. Yah created the real earth. The first verse of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. We know that this world that we live in is his. He is the creator of it. All things were made through him, and without him, nothing was made that was made. John chapter 1, verse 3. This new virtual world is a man-made creation where everyone can take part in creation. It has nothing to do with Yah. And when they blend their digital world with the physical, they are completely creating a new satanic world that Satan has dominion over. This is always the scheme or plot. This is always the backdrop and plan amongst the wicked men of this world. They are creating a world in service to Lucifer. And if you are not walking in discernment, and you are living in a world that does not keep Yah and his word first, you can and will be sucked right into it. Sadly, our youth around the world have already been conditioned into it. And parents, it is your job to have a conversation with your children and bring them out of it. If they have been using most of their time engaging in a virtual world where they hang with their friends, they have been giving more of their life to Satan's world. To them, it may seem harmless and innocent. And to us parents, we have no idea what they are seeing and doing in there. I am not completely against video games, but I am against living in a virtual world, hanging out in a virtual world. This is a major satanic agenda that can fly by the multitude because it just looks like technological progress. As I have explained in numerous videos, science has been placed as a god of this world that is creating its own ways and pushing forth its own doctrines and mindsets, its own healing powers, its own take on gender, and what makes a man or a woman a woman. And now, science is creating a whole new virtual world, a new world. And if believers do not get strong in their faith, they will find themselves dragged right into it very subtly, but purposely. If you imagine 2 years ago that the world would be embracing remote work, everyone working from home, having meetings online, you are a very forward-thinking individual. Years ago, there was not many who foresaw that the world would be the way it is now. But one event happened, and look how much has changed. There is a major event on the way, and when it occurs, it will bring forth massive change, and the metaverse will play a big role within it. It will facilitate a new economy. It will provide people with a means to escape the real world that seems so horrible. It will allow the new world government to speak to everyone on Earth at the same time. It will help ease people into the new world currency facilitated through crypto, because everything will be brought online anyway, so they'll just be doing everything in the metaverse. It will be promoted as a major contributor to help with the problem of climate change. It will be a major glue that brings the New World Order agenda together. This is not science fiction or something that is years off. It is here now and growing every day with a goal of full implementation. And only the creators and companies like Facebook, now known as Meta, know completely where this is all going. It is important that believers detach themselves from this digital world and do not go through the doors that this world is opening. And parents, please close the doors for your children who may have already walked through them. I'm reminded of what Paul says about the wrath of Yah in Romans chapter 1, verses 18 through 25. In it says, "For the wrath of Elohim is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth and unrighteousness. Because what may be known of Elohim is manifest in them, for Elohim has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, the invisible things of Yah are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and divinity, so that they are without excuse. Because although they knew Elohim, they did not glorify him as Elohim, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible Elohim into an image made like corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed animals, and creeping things. Therefore, Elohim also gave them up to uncleanness in the lust of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of Elohim for the lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen." It is so important not to be a part of this group that these verses are referring to. If you keep reading, you see what they are given over to. And remember, these people are subject to the wrath of Yah. And even as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of Elohim, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who, knowing the righteous judgment of Elohim, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. Romans chapter 1, verses 28 through 32. So these people not only practice these things, but they approve of those who do this as well. And this is how much of the world lives today. I read this because this is how those that will be living in this virtual world will be looked at in the eyes of our Creator. This is another wake-up call for those in Messiah to bring all thoughts captive into the obedience of our Messiah. You need to use some discernment. We must obey and follow the word of Yah, and turn away from this world in the direction that it's heading. If the world cared about you, they would be fully informing you and allowing you to make your own educated choice. Instead, it tells you it's up to you to figure it all out, while it slowly steers you and your children right into it. Like I showed, our children care more about how they appear in the virtual world than they do in the physical one that Father made. You must be smart and above all, put down all idols and commit to the will of our Father in heaven. Read his word and obey it. Choose his world over the world Satan has created. Your time is almost up. Make the right choice. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please don't forget to like and share this video with others. All believers who are parents need to understand this. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. Elohim willing, I upload every Friday. Don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. Thank you for watching. I'm thankful for all of you. Thank you especially to those Elohim has placed it on your hearts to give, and you have done so. Thank you for your assistance in carrying out this ministry every week. Thank you for your blessings and your prayers. They truly support this ministry. Okay, thanks again for watching, everyone. I love you all.
Okay. Let's see. Might call that a wrap for now. We'll see. Companies of the metaverse. Let's check that out right quick.
Now with Taco Bell's app, you can build your own cravings box. Because you know what you crave it.
The metaverse is the next step in the internet's evolution. It's the convergence of physical, augmented, and virtual reality in a shared online space. The metaverse is a 4D version of our current internet, and it can be thought of as an internet that you're inside of, rather than one you're merely looking at. A critical aspect for this to work is that it can't be controlled by one company. It has to be a decentralized system with many companies supporting it. Companies that are likely to bring it to life are Facebook. According to Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook will likely transition from a social media company to a metaverse company within the next 5 to 10 years. Facebook already has a couple of products that will bring us closer to the metaverse. Facebook Horizon lets you explore virtual worlds where you can connect with people across the world, participate in fun challenges, and even create your own virtual worlds. And Facebook Workrooms is a collaboration experience that lets people come together to work in the same virtual room, regardless of physical distance. Facebook has divisions that focus on products for communities, creators, commerce, virtual reality, and augmented reality. And those divisions will increasingly work on new initiatives to support the development of a metaverse. Facebook spends $5 billion annually on these initiatives. In the near future, Facebook will probably incentivize people to join metaverse communities and use related services to require its virtual reality and augmented reality headsets. And as those communities populate, Facebook may gradually add new features and value propositions to increase adoption rates. In addition to its popular Oculus virtual reality headsets, Facebook is also working on augmented reality headsets. To top it off, Facebook has patents for semiconductor and brain-to-machine computing interfaces. All of this indicates that Facebook is aiming to get a first-mover advantage when it comes to the hardware market within the metaverse, metaverse communities, and metaverse workplace solutions. Number 2, Epic Games. Epic Games is famous for various products such as Fortnite, Roblox, Unreal Engine, and MetaHumans. Fortnite and Roblox, in particular, have metaverse-like elements like their own creator economies and the ability to use a single avatar in multiple virtual worlds. Epic Games is currently working on developing a decentralized metaverse. This is largely based on the motivation by its CEO, Tim Sweeney, who has a justifiable concern that one company could end up having disproportionate control over the metaverse. A metaverse controlled by one company could lead to that company having excessive control over our lives and the ability to spy on many of our most private interactions. In April of 2021, Epic Games completed a $1 billion round of funding, which will allow that company to support future growth opportunities like the metaverse. When it comes to products, Epic Games developed Fortnite, which has a whopping 350 million users, and Fortnite has a creative mode that already feels like a pre-metaverse. In it, a player can load the avatar that is specific to them, and it can be used in all Fortnite-related experiences. At the end of April 2020, Fortnite hosted 5 different virtual concerts. Travis Scott appeared as an avatar in one of those concerts, and as many as 12 million players were in attendance. Roblox is another game developed by Epic Games, and it was worth close to $50 billion in the second quarter of 2021. In the fall of 2019, Roblox launches Developer Marketplace, which allows developers to monetize not just their games, but also their assets, plugins, vehicles, 3D models, terrains, and other items those developers produce for those games. Epic Games' Unreal Engine could play a significant role in the world creation in the metaverse's earliest stages. A number of other companies are already leading the charge to create machine learning algorithms that can automatically generate virtual environments and assets to augment Unreal Engine's current asset generating capabilities. Additionally, it would make sense if metahumans could be used to create lifelike avatars in the decentralized metaverse. Number 3, Microsoft. Microsoft dominates when it comes to workplace and productivity offerings, which include the Windows operating system, Office 365, Microsoft Azure, and LinkedIn. Future versions of these offerings would fit extremely well within the metaverse ecosystem. One of Microsoft's most promising initiatives involves giving Azure developers the ability to create digital twins of our physical world that are bound to our world in real time. This allows us to run simulations in those virtual environments, analyze trends in real time, and form highly accurate predictions that we could apply to the real world. We could see even more comprehensive uses of virtual environments modeled based on our real world in the future. Microsoft also offers the HoloLens, a holographic and mixed reality device specifically intended to enhance productivity and training efforts in multiple industries such as manufacturing, healthcare, and education. This headset enables people to interact with a high variety of work-related virtual objects in their living room. It's primarily used for enterprise purposes, but as its prices decrease, we may begin to see these headsets sold to the general public. Microsoft also has an app called Microsoft Mesh that gives users an AR and VR meeting space to interact with other users and 3D content. Additionally, Microsoft has Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Cloud Gaming, which could help facilitate efforts to use the software-as-a-service business model for certain metaverse components. Number 4, Google. Multiple Google initiatives could accelerate the development of the metaverse, including Google Maps and Google Street View, Google Earth VR, Stadia, Google Fi, and Google Assistant. Google recently introduced Project Starline, which makes virtual meetings feel like they're in person, and that's without the use of a headset. It utilizes the latest advancements of computer vision, machine learning, spatial audio, and real-time compression. From a consumer's perspective, they would need to buy technology-equipped video booths that both users enter from their corresponding locations. Each booth would feature a large 65-inch display that would enable users to engage in what looks like a face-to-face live video call with the other life-size person sitting directly in front of them. Google may also release hardware to facilitate augmented reality, such as an updated version of Google Glass. It's probably likely that Google will explore advanced virtual and mixed reality headsets as well. Google already offers a popular framework for developing AR experiences called AR Core. Apple is its primary competitor in that space. Number 5, Apple. Apple is unlikely to build a decentralized metaverse platform since Apple traditionally likes to have more control over its product and service ecosystems. But it may act as a major competitor to Facebook when it comes to hardware related to augmented reality and possibly even virtual and mixed reality. Apple already offers widely used frameworks for developing AR experiences such as ARKit and RealityKit, and it offers creative tools like Reality Composer and Reality Converter. Number 6, NVIDIA. NVIDIA has a service called Omniverse that helps businesses bring together various digital assets into a single virtual environment. Basically, Omniverse enables businesses to work with high numbers of file formats and collaborate with third parties using different tech stacks. A virtual office or workstation in the metaverse would have similar or more advanced capabilities. Additionally, NVIDIA's GPUs may play a critical role in enabling server-side 3D graphics and advanced artificial intelligence within metaverse worlds. Number 7, Amazon. Amazon doesn't have an advantage when it comes to the foremost hardware and software components of the upcoming metaverse. But according to Matthew Ball, a former head of Amazon would likely benefit from enormous increases in AWS usage and digital transactions in this marketplace. Amazon Alexa might also work seamlessly with augmented reality, virtual reality, brain machine interfaces, and other technologies in the metaverse ecosystem. Thanks for watching. Make sure to watch the video to the right to learn more about the metaverse.
I had to stop working to make this video. Part 2 of things that open up doorways. Music edition. Okay, so we all know that Lucifer, who is Satan, was given the gift to play instruments and make music in heaven. When Satan fell, he became the ruler of this world. What is another name for Satan? The prince of the power of the air. What do radio shows say when they're about to start their show? They are on air. What has the power to infiltrate your mind without you doing anything about it? Music. Unless you are deaf, if somebody's playing a song, you're going to hear what they're saying. And while consciously you may not listen, it gets out in your subconscious. XXXTentacion. He even talked about the frequencies that people play their music at. 440 hertz, look it up. But even the frequency that you play your music at can lead to depression and anxiety and to negative feelings towards your body. So when I tell y'all to watch what y'all listen to and y'all question music, especially music that glorifies sin, this is not me lying. A lot of these artists sold their soul, but that's not biblical. Mark 8:36. What profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul?
Amen.
Venus and Serena, I'm gonna shake up this world.
Hold on.
So what'd you think?
It's so...
I do not care for commercials. Hang on tight. Let's see this. Something else holds on. Wait, what's that say?
In Taiwan, the number of people dying after their COVID vaccination is exceeding the number of deaths from the virus itself. Taiwan's health authorities say that as of Monday, deaths after vaccination reached 865, while deaths from the virus are at 845. Vaccines currently offered in Taiwan include AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer-BioNTech, and Taiwan's own vaccine, Medigen. Out of the 865 deaths after vaccination, over 600 were from AstraZeneca, and nearly 200 deaths after Moderna shot.
Oh, wait. Hang tight. Okay, hold on a sec.
You are not alone, my guy. The government doesn't even want to go down there. Check this out.
Now, U.S. Navy sets off 40,000-pound bomb in the Atlantic Ocean, 100 miles from the coast of Florida. Now, if you know anything about geography, this isn't far from where the fire is taking place off the Gulf of Mexico. Roll the footage.
Oh, that looks total CGI.
The government is literally destroying the planet.
Yeah. Anyways, next. Hang on tight.
Oh, candles. Thank you. So soft. Is this new?
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time, but not anymore.
This is too fast. We'll find out.
Because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I like to cover the World Economic Forum to show you guys what they're talking about, so I monitor it every day. I monitor their YouTube channel, where they upload all the time, because they tell you what the plan is, what the future holds, the future of technology, the future of currency. And this isn't, well, this is the way it's going to evolve. This is what they're planning to do. And we see all this stuff now, right in front of our faces, because they've been talking about this for a decade. They've been talking about a reset, a reset, a reset. Well, how do you get a reset? You're seeing how you get a reset. Create something that affects the whole world, start destroying the economy, and the rest is history, right? So one of the things that I want to show you is them talking about, they uploaded this today, talking about technology and getting an evolving technology so it's wearable technology. Now, obviously we know this type of technology is here with the Fitbit or like, these watches that monitor your heart rate and all that stuff. Well, they want this to evolve over the next year or so into your clothing. And this will have to do with even the graphene type skin tattoo types of things, which you're about to see when I show you the clip. But it has to continue to evolve, right? It has to go from something that's in your hand, a computer at your desk. So this getting on you, right? And being on your body. So it's almost like it is in you, but it's not there yet. It's one step away, of course, from being in you. And this all has to do with the mark. This has to do with transhumanism, mixing iron and clay, making man a machine, so to speak. This is them talking about the evolution of getting wearable technology on your body. And you'll see for yourself, it couldn't be more pointless, it couldn't be a bigger waste, but they're going to tell everyone by creating this prideful society that we have, how this can change the world. You can monitor every little detail about your body. Oh, you had 7 grams of salt today. Oh, yeah. Oh, you took 3 dumps today. Oh, great. This is your heartbeat at the moment. No one cares, but they want you to care because this is how they're going to dupe people into taking this technology. And of course, mixing that with, you're going to live longer, you're going to feel better, and it's going to be able to even fight off things that are inside of you like cancer. But this is them talking about wearable technology as they prep you for the technology to be inside of you. Keep a close look at the skin graft tattoo that they show that they touch and turn on. I just showed you this with Zuckerberg in the metaverse where he did the same thing. He touched his wrist or his hand and brought up, screens and worlds and all this type of crap. This is mixing man with machine. This is the prep right here at the World Economic Forum.
Today, electronics is everywhere. We are becoming more attached to our electronic devices and using these devices in ways that we could not imagine possible 2 decades ago. Electronics help us communicate, stay close to our loved ones, be more efficient at work, and even at staying healthy. Due to the advances that we have in hardware and software, we are quickly moving towards in-home care and also constant monitoring of our vital signs. But if we look at the way we design and build electronics, we will see that the rate of which we fabricate and assemble electronics is moving much slower pace than the way we use the electronics. You see that discrete components are still assembled into hardboards, and at the end, the devices that we carry have a rigid format. So what if we started designing electronics in a different way? What if electronics were flexible, lightweight, conformal to the body? How would that change the diagnostic methods that we have today?
What can we expect from body-adapted wearable electronics in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, in the future, you won't need to buy separate devices to monitor different biomarkers or different components or to continuously monitor your health. You just wear your daily clothes, which will be equipped with invisible, flexible sensors that will monitor all the functionalities that you need. In fact, not only they will monitor the functionalities, but they will also predict any serious health episode that you may have, and even they can warn your physician that you may be having, let's say, a heart attack or you may be having any sort of a seizure. You will be sensed by what you wear in your daily routine in a comfortable, pain-free, and completely convenient manner.
Some people will have concerns about data privacy when it comes to these body-adaptable wearables. Do you think that's something people should be concerned about as this technology moves forward?
Now, of course, the companies that are producing these or will be producing these wearable on-body sensors must have very clear terms on their privacy protection, on their privacy terms, and the user must be able to accept or not accept these privacy terms without feeling that they're losing the actual services or the actual benefits of these on-body wearables. If it comes to me, I have my trust in a safe, reliable future that is filled with plenty of on-body wearable technologies, and especially wearable wireless sensor technology.
If I may ask, what's your personal dream when it comes to body-adapted wearables? Let's say we were having this conversation again in 5 to 10 years' time. What would you be wearing, or what sensors would you have on you, and what would they be measuring?
If you talk about on-body wearables, I would be wearing smart clothing that would be wirelessly sensing my heart rate, my cholesterol, for example, lactate, for sure. These are the things that I care about that fit my lifestyle.
And again, these people aren't elected. No one knows who deemed these people to be in charge of our reality and our world. Why aren't there laws in place to prevent people from turning into Dr. Frankensteins, like the guy with the quantum computer who's like, oh, we're going to bring over these demons from the other side. They're going to be like, just think of them as little humans, elderly, knowledgeable things that are so much smarter than advanced than all of us. Oh, because that's what we need. We need something smarter and more advanced that doesn't like us or want us here. That's great. Yeah, bring it over so it can destroy us. Well, this is the same type of unnecessary crap that they tell you need. And of course, this is going to end up being marketed towards the youth out there. And we know that they're already putting certain things in people's bodies to start the mutation process. You've seen videos, you might say, well, I don't know if those are real videos or not, but people who did a certain something where they were hooking up to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, it was reading them. Okay? Whether you want to believe those videos are real or not, this is the type of technology that's going to be made readily available, and people are going to line up for it, and they're going to want it. So this is the progression that they take. They start, like I said, credit cards, phones. Now we're at this point where, okay, you wear the wristwatch. Oh, you have the the wristband at the Tomorrowland concerts or whatever these things are, Coachella, and you walk around and you scan your wrist. You don't have cash anymore. This is all getting everything prepped to be in you. And you saw they showed the Google glasses, so to speak. I don't know if those were necessarily the Google glasses, but this is what it's going to be like, right? You're going to be able to bring these things up in front of you and see this different reality in front of you. And it's going to go from like virtual glasses, virtual reality, to when it's in you, you don't even need the virtual goggles because you're already mixed. You're already half human, half machine. And again, marketed towards people with all of the mind control I've talked about over the years, from superheroes to technology to living forever, all that type of stuff is how they get people to go, cool, neat. And of course, it goes to the youth, because the youth out there are brain dead. At least the majority of them are. Everything's a joke. You're a boomer if you don't agree with living in the metaverse. Oh, you're a boomer. Huh? A boomer? Yeah, because I don't want to live in fantasy land where everybody's a cartoon and you can levitate and do all this boring nonsense, because I like to live in the actual real world. Well, I don't know if I actually like to live in the real world the way it is now, but what better way to get people to want to join those realities but than by destroying the current world we live in? And that's what they're going to continue to do. And it's going to make people want to live in a metaverse. So you see this type of technology, the World Economic Forum is prepping people for it. They're getting people prepared that the next step, the next evolution evolution, so to speak, is going to be wearing this in your clothes. You won't see it. It's not like you're going to have cords coming out of your clothes. It's going to be a normal thing. Oh, you know, it's a skin graft, right? The next step after that, the skin graft, the skin tattoo, and the mark. And they want you to know that it's coming, and they're preparing people for it to come, but everybody's going to be on board, because all they need to do is stick an Apple sticker on it and tell everybody it's the new Apple, the new Apple device. Ooh, cool, neat, I gotta have it. Yeah, the new iPhone 33, that'd probably be the 33rd. No, it's probably way further down the line than 2030, but let's say it's the iPhone 20, and instead, the phone's actually in you. Ooh, right? The evolution to the mark is what we're seeing. World Economic Forum showing it to you. And again, I watch these videos to show you guys, and of course for myself to see what in the world they're doing. I mean, this is the enemy showing you what they have planned for you, right in front of your face. The evolution of technology, wrap it in a bow, make it sound like it's great. Oh, we're gonna monitor your heart rate. We're gonna monitor everything you do, right? We're gonna be literally in you and be able to control you because, you know, you're not fully human anymore. And we've altered, you know, your DNA and all that. And people are just like, oh yeah, when it's all not necessary. None of this should be happening. We've never, ever should have gotten to this point, but this is the point we're at. So you gotta be aware of these things so you know what the enemy is trying to do. Again, your salvation is through Jesus Christ alone. You don't need to know what the enemy's doing to survive, but why let them run you over? Why let them, you know, you could unwillingly, you know, fall into this deception that's going on in the world without knowing what your enemy's doing. So that's why, to me, it's important to know these things. I want to remind you to check the website, callfornuprising.com. It's $2.99 a month. Check it out if you haven't. I want to thank everyone who is here. And again, thank you, Patrons, and all of you who sub.
Alright, I think we might be done for now. We'll see if there's anything else I want to know about. I think that's probably cool for now. I think so. Let me make sure. Breaking news. Yep, I think that's it, y'all. I think that's gonna be it. That's it. Shiggity shake up this crypto right fast and then dip on out. Call it a show. Appreciate y'all. Indeed. Looks like things are getting a little bit more greenery on the scenery. I just put it like that. For sure. Alright, y'all. That's it. Stay too blessed. Be stressed, y'all. You know who wins this whole entire thing. So God loves you. I love y'all too. I'm gonna get ready to get me some rest. And I'll catch y'all when I catch you. Thank you for stopping by. God bless you. Bye-bye.